Welcome everyone to the 158th edition of the Nuthouse podcast brought to you by boxersalem.com. I am your host Andy Patterson. Today I've got Steve Wellens, Paul Webb, Alex Morris and Adam Smith. Now, as you know, not much to talk about, but there was still slow in the box in front obviously, but we did have at least one fight yesterday that was a decent scrap I suppose, between Vincent Feigenbutz and Giovanni Di Carlis. I think I've got that pronounced right anyway, Steve. For a Panamanian super middleweight strap, sorry. Um, I know, Alex, I know you missed the first two rounds, mate, but I thought Feigenbutz got pretty much dominated in that first round. De Carolis was just basically using educated pressure, jabbing and stepping in with the right hand, left hooks to the body, and then finishing off with another straight right hand. He really did set the tempo early doors in the fight. Now, Feigenbutz, his feet are like molasses, actually. Just plodded forward, just to get himself into distance, and he could only get a jab off at times. I personally think he actually maybe fights a bit too square. I think his legs are up, the way his legs look is too far apart, but I think the way he stands is loaded. It looks like he's just, looking to throw that straight right hand. I think it was running about the third round before Feigenbutz tried to let his hands go a bit, and then in the fourth he landed the right uppercut that really sparked him and the crowd into life actually. But I don't think De Carolis was actually hurt, and the German didn't really follow up much on it. Now in the fifth, I think it was basically a mini walk, and I broke out for about a minute. I think both got hurt, showed decent chins. There was some furious exchanges involved as well, but I didn't think at any time that De Carolis was actually, in any bother. He went back into the fight, about the midway through. I think it was the 10th round. De Carolis actually hurt Feigenbutz with a three-punch combination that got him backed up. I think he finished off in two body shots, but then obviously the end coming in the 11th round, really good stop. Well, it was a really good punch actually. The right hand from De Carolis, I think it just landed behind the right hand, just landed behind the glove, around about the ear, maybe around about the temple. Feigenbutz, who was just basically Bambi on ice, and the follow-up assault just basically forced the referee to step in. Just after the fight, I think old man Pop Serling was complaining in the ring about one of the follow-up shots. I think it was behind the head, and it appears that they will appeal the fight and they will put an official protest. But I think De Carolis has actually apparently offered a third fight. So that's my takedown in that fight. Alex, I know you were tweeting about it last night, mate. You said it was quite a good fight, showing some good strong beards and stuff. But Feigenbutz, man, this guy is a serious work in progress. 20 years old, obviously he can come back from it, but a lot of work there required.
Yeah, I mean, the main points I really took away from it was that both seemed to have pretty solid chins. But De Carolis took quite a lot of heavy shots from Feigenbutz, who at times when he was getting backed up, he still managed to wing in quite a few decent bombs, but it just had no effect. And I think that maybe partly that was because Feigenbutz was just constantly on the back foot. He could never really plant and build up some real power on his fists. And he's sort of noted as a big puncher, isn't he, Feigenbutz? Quite a big record, but obviously against very weak opposition. Makes you think, was his power a bit inflated when coming into this fight against De Carolis, who, he seems to have been I've never really seen many fights of his before, but he seems to be that sort of fringe gatekeeper sort of level, and at 168, that really doesn't say a lot these days, I don't think. The story of it was just how easily the Italian backed Feigenbutz up. Just easily did it. I mean, he's not really a noted puncher, as I said, but he had Feigenbutz on the back foot constantly, just really constant pressure on the kid. And you think that someone who's supposed to be a rising talent, a strong talent, and such a strong physical fighter as well as a powerful fighter, you think that he'd be able to stand his ground a bit better, but that obviously wasn't the case, and he just got pushed around. I think he started working his jab quite well. I thought Feigenbutz, when he realised that he couldn't just one bomb this kid out all the time, and the jab sort of started working and won him a couple of rounds in the middle of the fight, should I say? And yeah, but the story of it was just De Carolis pushing him back on the ropes and then teeing off on him. And as for the stoppage, I didn't think Feigenbutz turned his back on him. He got caught with that fucking beautiful right hand, but then he turned his back on him, and he ran. It was a bit of the old Klitschko Fury scenario where Vlad sort of ran away a bit and he turned around and he got fucking clocked. And I don't think that punch on the back of the head, or what appeared to be the side of the head, really warrants, investigation or an appeal. It's just them getting arsey about it because their boy got fucking splattered. And like you say, to put it in the context, he is young, and I think that what they were trying to do was hype up a young lad and build him up as the youngest German champion ever, is what the hype has been all week for the Sauerlands. And what they've really missed in that is trying to develop a decent fighter. And it's just the same old story. It's building him up and against absolute soft opponents, making him learn absolutely nothing. He's a young kid, and when he gets thrown in deep, he doesn't know what to do, and he gets fucked up. And the first fight, I thought he lost that. This one, he got fucked up, and then the third fight, if they do make it, he's going to get fucked up again because he's just not good enough yet. He needs more learning fights, and he needs if he can progress, and this isn't his plateau, as it were, then he needs a lot more experience before even beating Di Carolis, let alone some of the better names in the division.
He definitely lost that first fight, definitely maybe about 5 points on my card. I think I've just seen someone on the YouTube chat saying that he thought Feigenbutz was winning the fight. Don't know what fight he was watching because I had Di Carolis pretty handily in front. I think the scorecards were 98-92 Di Carolis, and the other two were 96-94, which I think is slightly too short. I think to say Di Carolis definitely maybe about.
Yeah, I had him about just in between that. I think like 97. Yeah. I wasn't, like I said again, I couldn't score it properly because I couldn't see the first two rounds. But
well, I gave Di Carolis the first 2 rounds. It was emphatic first round. It wasn't until the third round before Feigenbutz actually got started. Actually, so Paul, give me your take on Feigenbutz. As I say, obviously he's 20-year-old. He has got time on his side and stuff, but with the fact that he pretty much got. He did get beat in the first fight. He got knocked out there last night. Di Carolis is going to give him a third fight. There's really much need for a third fight. I think it's time for this kid to go back to the drawing board, go back to the 8 rounders or whatever it is, and just try and rebuild himself, because I don't think he's style-wise, I think Di Carolis has actually got his number, so there's really no much point for a third fight, and it could basically derail his entire career.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an argument to sort of, I don't know, slow him down or step him back, but it's difficult because they've already pushed him into the kind of fringe world title or fringe world level contention to then say, right, okay, let's go rebuild him over 12 or 18 months. I think last night, on Saturday night, he struggled. He was 3 rounds down before he'd even known what happened. He was suddenly chasing a fight. I thought he actually came into it. I think he landed, I don't know if you mentioned, a little decent shot in the 4th. And he was there or thereabouts, but he was just getting outworked. I don't think he dealt with the flurry of shots that were coming in from his opponent. And I don't know, he's lost in 2 very different ways. He won the last fight technically, but he was outboxed, and I don't think anyone apart from those judges gave the fight to Feigenbutz. And last night he was outboxed and also beaten up in the inside. And I think that we talked when Luke Campbell lost to sort of a young prospect and said about getting outpointed. Is it better to get stopped or to be outboxed for 12? And Feigenbutz pretty much has had both in his last 2 fights. I can completely understand why a third fight from Di Carolis' point of view makes sense, but because he knows he'll beat him again. But I think Feigenbutz, you've got to slow him down to a point. But this is the problem that you get, and we've had it. Not so much over here, but sometimes you get prospects that get sort of held against very low-level opposition. They get given some sort of interim belt or an intercontinental belt, and then suddenly they're expected to be world-level contention, and he's not. I mean, you look at the people who he fought in that run-up to picking up his interim title. I mean, Balazar Kellerman, Iron Illy, he fought Fedotov, who was over here in Liverpool, and then suddenly he's got an interim belt, and now he's up against a guy who, let's be honest here, he's no world beater, Di Carolis. He's had a few losses on his record. He certainly wouldn't be a top 5 or a top 10 super middleweight, or probably even a top 15 in my book. And yet he's been handily beaten by him once, and everyone's pretty much in agreement that he won the first fight. I mean, he's got decent size, he's got the power. I think there's a potential there, but I just don't think he's good enough. I think sometimes it comes down to, I just don't think he has the ability at the world stage. I don't think he'll have it when he's 25 or when he's 35.
sorry, I was on mute there. Certainly puts him in the picture anyway, I suppose. But as you say, probably a big money fight again, I suppose, with Feigen Boots. But Steve, have you seen much of D. Carlis? I don't think you've seen the fight, mate. But if you have seen anything of D. Carlis, do you think he's going to be? Well, I'm not going to say the next big thing, but he's 31-year-old. I mean, he's going to go down the Panamanian route, I suppose. You've got Nielsen, potential fight after the Feigen Boots fight if he's successful again. Potentially Ramirez if the Arthur Abraham fight doesn't come off.
I don't expect big things of D. Carlis, to be honest. I'm trying to rack my brains. Did he fight Arthur Abraham a few years ago?
Yeah, he got roundly outpounded, mate. I think it was like 120, 108 or something like that, right through the scorecards or something.
Yeah, I don't see him as any kind of a prospect or he's going to do anything. I think he's more of a gatekeeper, sort of fringe world level, and they were just bringing him in to get beaten, basically. I could be wrong. I'm sure I saw him on Eurosport about, oh God, it could be easily 7 or 8 years ago, losing to Lalenga Mock. Do you remember Lalenga Mock?
He fought Hay.
Yeah, he fought David Hay and a few other guys. He had a disputed loss to Kai Kazawa, and I was big on that old Eurosport scene back in the day when I had more time. I'm sure Di Carolis lost to Mock, and he's lost to somebody else who I can't remember. So no, I don't expect anything of him, to be honest with you. I think he was being brought in to get beaten, and it says more about Feigen Boots' limitations than Di Carolis' potential.
Just basically rounding off, I mean, I know Feigen Boots got his title emailed to him on Tuesday, and he lost it obviously on Saturday. But just in the state of German boxing, I'll just open up to everyone actually. It is getting kind of, I wouldn't say it's slowly dying a death, but they're really needing to get some big stars. I mean, Pulev, obviously, he's been knocked out. Klitschko's been beat. Feigen Boots, that's arguably 2 defeats on the trot. If Abraham gets beat off Ramirez, I wouldn't even look at like Noel Gavor and stuff like that as up-and-coming talent. Chak Kulkai, for instance, I don't think these are going to be the next superstars. So
Feigen Boots had some following, didn't he? I mean, the crowd were going absolutely mental for him. I mean, you don't really hear, I don't know, the German crowd from fights I've seen before. They don't usually get that animated, but they were going fucking mental for him. It was like a fucking AJ fight or something, or a Josh Warrington fight. So yeah, he's obviously a popular lad.
It was very polite. They were chanting Vincent, Vincent, Vincent. Very, very good stuff. But
Do you know the problem I think they've got in Germany is, like I said, that and it's the same one. So when it's Klitschko shows and stuff, there's too much focus on the main event, and there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of focus on progressing fighters. I'm not sure if that's just because of the way their TV networks want their shows to be, but the undercards have always been either very, very short, very small, or really average sort of showcase fights for young prospects, but nothing that, I don't know, it's not like what we get over here. You can almost see with both in America and both with over here with Warren and Hearn, you can see what they're trying to do. You've got your main event fighters, your brand new prospects, and then you've got your fringe level guys. In Germany, it doesn't seem to have that, and they seem to have had the last 10, 15 years, they've been importing foreign fighters and having them as Germans, and they're not there isn't a strong enough German amateur scene, and there's not a strong enough amount of German national prospects that they can sort of push through to replace, your Abrahams, your Stieglitzes, these guys who are all getting on a bit and will be moving out the sport fairly soon.
It was a huge blow, I think, whenever ZDF pulled as well with the Klaus-Peter Cole thing. They used to have their guys in there, their Zolterdis, their Ulriches, their Felix Sturm was the flag bearer. And as soon as they pulled and Cole had to start pitching his stable against each other for contracts, and he said, right, there's no TV, I'm not going to be involved anymore, the German boxing scene just started to die out then. Back in the day when you had the ZDF TV and I can't remember the Soyerland, what Soyerland one used to be on, you used to see the little logo up in the corner, whatever the TV station was. It was really strong back then, but it's just not strong anymore. They haven't got the stars that they used to have.
I'm trying to remember that German thing you're talking about there, Steve. I know it's right on the tip of my tongue. Oh,
Was it
Universum?
Universum.
Universum.
Was it Universum, yeah?
It was Universum, mate, because they used to have a YouTube channel. Used to stick all their fights up on.
Yeah.
Went bankrupt. I think remember Pulev might have been involved in that. Anyways, as you do know, it is a light week, so we'll have got a few Twitter questions. We'll have got some segments to discuss, but one segment we're going to bring back just for maybe this week only. No belly to eat this week, but this segment was created by Matty D way back in the early days, about 3 years ago, and it was basically, what would you like to know? So I'll bring Adam in here. Adam, what would you want to know about the sport of boxing?
What would I want to know?
Yeah, any question you got?
I know absolutely everything, so There's nothing else I need to know, Andy, to be honest.
Hardcore's hardcore, eh?
Yeah, certainly. What would I like to, like the ins and outs of it?
No, well, just whatever, eh? Just whatever question you got about boxing. Just whatever's on your
Well,
mind.
alright, I'll set the torch paper. What the hell is Amir Khan doing with his life?
You mean his career?
Career and life.
Well, I don't want to get into his personal life and stuff, but his career, it's an abject piss take just now, actually. I said at the time after Mayweather-Pacquiao that, or when the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight was made, the board was cleared at that point for Khan Brook to get made. I think we said it last week, Alex, that it was I think we said to Coogan actually it wouldn't sell out Wembley. I don't think, in my opinion. I wouldn't rule it out, I suppose, but that's just my personal opinion. I mean, you can just don't know about Sky, but if you look at his record, I mean, I did look through the records. We're talking about this during the week actually, and it was just a wee reminder as to how poor Brook's resume is. But at the same time, if you look at it over the course of the last 2 years, Brook's still got the best win out of both of them. So I know it's not really any great things to shout about, but his career just now is an abject piss take, and he needs to do something about it.
Well, the rumour is now for Khan that he's fighting Lamont Peterson for the vacant WBC title in March. That's the rumour going about, anyway.
Whereabouts? America?
Yeah, Barclays Centre, I think.
So that means was it June 3rd date that we're talking about for Wembley for Brook? Yeah,
well, if he beats Peterson, which ain't no fucking guarantee, to be honest. I think Peterson is looking fairly decent. He looked quite shit out, I thought, against Cherry Garcia. So
yeah, many say he won that fight actually.
Yeah, I'd say he won that fight.
Anybody else want to weigh in with Adam's question here?
I think that Amir Khan is in a position where outside of boxing, he's doing a lot of good stuff. Whether you like the bloke or not, and whether you want to make jokes about Skype or not, I think he's obviously got he's got a good team around him. He does good PR. He obviously cares about charity and people, and I think there's a lot to like about that. All he needs to do is put some of that application into his own career, and he'd be well away. There's a lot of reasons why he should be a very popular fighter, but because of inactivity, disappearing off to the States, his losses, he sort of dropped off the radar, should I say, a little bit, and down the pecking order in terms of sort of the most recognisable boxers in the country. But a Peterson fight would probably be okay. I think that he needs the Brook fight, but I almost don't want him to come into the Brook fight off the back of what he's been doing or the lack of what he's been doing for the last 12 months. I think he needs another fight before that, because realistically, if those two are going to fight, and it is going to be a big fight when it happens, you want to think you're watching the two of them come into it at maybe not the best form of their career, but certainly on a good run of form and active. I think that works both ways. I think with what happened with Brook at the end of last year, you almost want him to get a fight out and early the way, even if it's not a great one, even if it is busier, just to get him back in the ring and active, and then him and Khan hopefully can happen at some point this year. But like I said, I'm not an Amir Khan hater by any stretch. I think he's got a huge amount of ability. I just don't think he's able to apply it, or he struggled to certainly apply it in certain types of fights, but he's still very much a big name, and I think he can do a lot of damage in that division still, but he just needs to get fighting.
I think he's an exciting fighter, and I look forward to watching him when he is scheduled to fight. But the way he goes about his business is just rubs me up the wrong way, to be honest. I'm talking boxing business. Chasing Floyd, not getting Floyd, chasing Pacquiao, not getting Pacquiao, we've heard some reasons for not wanting or accepting fights, but giving the main reason not to fight Kell Brook is because he doesn't want to give him or Eddie Hearn a payday. I mean, he's taking the biscuit, really. I mean, we've heard all different reasons, from drugs tests to money to location to promoter to TV channel, but denying a fight, and a big one at that, because of the hatred he has got towards Eddie Hearn. I'm not saying that's whose fault that is.
When's he ever said that?
Well, I think he's spiteful towards Kell Brook. He's saying Kell Brook's got to earn his shot. He's not the best of friends with Eddie. Maybe I need to split the two up, Kell and Eddie. But yeah, he's just Kell's got to go out and earn it. I don't want to give him a payday. That's basically what I think.
Well, put it this way, as I say, we did discuss it last week, but there's no way that fight happens with none of these two not having a fight. I mean, even if that happened, that'd be 13 months since the last fought before the time the first bell rang. I think Sean Brown said it last week actually, if that fight's going to happen in June, Khan needs to have an opponent announced and ready to fight sometime by end of February, early March. And same goes for Brook, providing there's no injuries and stuff like that, then you'd be thinking the guys can...
What are the odds at the moment on that fight? It's pretty much 50-50 in it, apart from like a Khan's slight favourite.
Adam?
It's pretty damn close. I think they did have Khan at slight favourite, but it is close.
Do you think that would shift more in Khan's favour if he beat King Pete in between them?
I've just checked. Amir Khan with Sky Bets 8-13, Kell Brooks 6-5.
Yeah, that is pretty close, to be fair. I know, we always say we want 50-50s, but you hardly ever get an actual 50-50. But but on what Alex said, we just need to see him out there facing someone, of an half-decent level. Obviously, he's got the history with Peterson. Peterson's a former champion. I don't know whether he still is. I can't keep up, to be honest. I don't really care that much. Maybe it would. Maybe if we're seeing him come out and, put in a good performance, because he's capable of it. He's a good fighter to watch. He's a good fighter when he's got his game plan right and everything lands right, And it'll be a close fight to call if it did happen, and that's why it would create a lot of excitement, because you don't know who the winner's going to be necessarily.
Steve, what would you like to know?
What would I like to know?
How would you like to get your daughter put down to bed? I've got the same problem in the room. My wife's run up downstairs.
I've got the two boys in bed, but this little shit will not go to bed. I would like to know how I could achieve that.
First game, mate.
I don't really know that I want to know anything, but I have got something I need to add in. It's pretty irrelevant, but I'm just going to add it in anyway. I was flicking through Box Nation channels last night, and I noticed an old USA Tuesday Night Fights card was on, headlined by James Toney, and it happened to be the undercard was just starting, and there was a guy fighting on there. Let me get it up on BoxRec now. Marty Jakubowski. I don't know if anybody's familiar with this guy. He was a local Missouri boxer coming into a big fanfare against an opponent called Curtis Strong. This was his 96th fight last night, on the telecast. He wasn't a journeyman or anything. He was 93-2, and his two losses were against Miguel Angel Gonzalez and Julio Cesar Chavez. And all the other fights he'd been having around Oklahoma, Missouri, basically club fights. Didn't want to spar, just had 2 fights a week to keep himself in shape. And he went out and he won a 10-man decision. So a big shout out to Mr. Marty Jacobo. Adds absolutely nothing to the podcast. But I just thought
Steve, that was your daughter, mate.
No, it wasn't.
Was it not?
No.
I don't you.
I'm just bringing up his BoxRec record, Marty Jakubowski. He's got quite an interesting record. He finished with 116-7. He was knocked out.
TBE,
TBE, but he was knocked out 5 times out of those 7, and he only had 33 knockouts and 116 wins. So he's probably still packs more power than Floyd.
Exactly. No, I like these week cards. If anybody gets a chance to watch them, they are interesting. Sort of on the mid-90s, you see your James Toney's, and Vernon Forrest was headlining one the other night as well. And on last night's, there was a young Augie Sanchez having his second pro fight. And if you remember, he went on to fight Nassim Hamed for the featherweight title. So there you are.
Okay. Paul, what would you like to know?
What would I like to know?
How to secure a bed?
David, let's not be bringing that up. They'll be monitoring my podcasts as well. Go back to Alex and come back to me.
Okay, Alex.
Yeah, it's sort of. I suppose this one's going to tie a bit into a discussion we're going to be having later, I suppose. But do we think that fighting on an obscure terrestrial, sort of terrestrial television channel is good or bad for boxing? In reference to Hay fighting on Dave.
Good.
Yeah, I suppose it's good. Free, maybe. I suppose that's what Al Heyman's doing, but I don't mean it's a similar situation, but we are getting, I suppose. Well, I think you get Dave on preview, don't you?
This is the equivalent of Andre Ward fighting on the Black Entertainment channel.
Yeah,
is it good or is it bad?
More people will watch David Hay's fight than probably, I'd say, 80-90% of other fights they won this year, because it's on a channel that's accessible to literally everyone who has a TV license. So everyone has Dave. not everyone has Sky Sports or Box Nation or BT Sport or even obscure other Sky channels. You know, everyone has access to Dave. Everyone knows what Dave is, and obviously they're starting to advertise it already. I know it's an easy joke to make, and it's quite funny watching David Hayes sit there in his gym being interviewed saying, yeah, no, it's great to be back on free TV. It's what I've always wanted. When in reality, you know, if he had the chance, he'd have this on Box Office. So he's taking this, and I think there was quite an interesting thing where they said, did you approach Dave or did they approach you? And he said, we approached them. So clearly nobody wanted this fight, but Dave saw quite a clever little marketing opportunity, and it's the first little foray into sports broadcasting for them. But I think it's a great thing for fans. I don't think it's a very good thing for David Hay, but I think it's good for people who want to watch the fight. I'm sure Kurt will still stream it though.
I think it's quite a good thing, but I have to laugh. There are quite a few people saying, well, you know what, you should be grateful. Thankfully it's not on pay-per-view. How even he wouldn't have the gall to try and put this on pay-per-view. I mean, let's be honest, even Hay wouldn't try and charge you for this one. YouTube, Dave, Channel 5, ITV, whatever, yeah, I think it's a pretty good move. I'll definitely be watching it, but it was never going to be pay-per-view. We shouldn't be thankful because it was never going to happen.
Right. I don't know what I want to know actually.
Andy, while we're at a little bit of a loose end, I wasn't on the call when you spoke about Frank Warren doing pay-per-view. I think it's pretty simple for me, really. He's not getting enough subscribers to Box Nation per month. It might be difficult to enforce, but he says that it's not going to affect his monthly subscribers, which is fine if they can get away around that. So I think it's a positive for him, because the point they're making is that their customers cannot simply subscribe through their remote control, i.e. the red button or pressing Sky Box Office or whatever. They've not got the facility to do that. Now, he's got completely inept customer services, as someone on here can vouch for. So, you know, having it so someone can pay via the red button or via their remote is a positive for Box Nation. Neither Frank or Eddie are going to be incorrect in their claim. I think Eddie might have had to adjust his a little bit in that the whole box office and Sky Sports box office, I'm not really interested in that, but they've both found a way of wording it where they can claim to be right. I think it's a decent move for Frank, but I think it's a short-term one, because depending on the price of these big events, why are people going to subscribe monthly? And as a result, I think the monthly subscribers will be even lower than it is now.
Do you think, Adam, there's any chance of us seeing Frank on Dave before the year's out?
Frank on Dave could happen. We could have. I'd prefer to see Frank on Babe Station, to be fair, but and Babe Station has got, it is both free and a subscription based. And it doesn't show up on your monthly bill either, so that could be another route for Frank to go. But as for the haymaker on Dave, yeah, it is a little bit desperate from him. But to be fair to the lad, he has throughout his career, and not now, but it used to be with the mastermind of Adam Booth as well. They've done things the kind of their own way before. I don't really see much of a problem in it. He knows it's not a great fight. It's a showcase kind of evening. And I will say that Dave aren't all about replays. I will add. I'm not saying it's the cream of the crop, but they do the Red Bull X Fighters. They're the exclusive showers of that. I know it's not live, but the production's half decent. I actually watched that. And other stuff that they don't. A lot of it's, we think of Top Gear, stuff like that, but they do. They have exclusive programs like the massively successful Storage Hunters and stuff like that as well. So they're not just pressing the play button, as it were. They are trying to expand, and they're both but they're probably not paying a lot. David Hay was a bit desperate, and Dave have said, yeah, we'll take it and see what happens.
I just hope for the undercard they're going to show us some retakes of like Top Gear and stuff like that.
The undercard's going to be shocking, isn't it? Do you remember the undercard he used to put on when he was on Sky pay-per-view? And now the fact
that 5
or 6 steps down the ladder, it's going to be even worse.
Are they even showing the undercard?
I don't think they are, because I think the show's only scheduled for an hour anyway.
Exactly.
So I don't think they'll be showing. They might show a fight, but I don't think they've got. In the undercard, like I said, they've only thrown Goodwin's lads on to move tickets. And to be fair, the Shane Singleton fight's not bad. But the rest of it is just, it's prospects against nothing much at all. And Tony Dodson's on, but I think they'll be in it just to show
Yes,
the main
Tony
event
Dodson.
and then a main event and then get out of Dodge. I think will be the plan. And I think it'll be interesting to see what they take production route wise. I mean, will it be sort of Stephen Fry in the studio with Jeremy Clarkson, or
I
I
reckon
don't know.
it'll be a bit of a mishmash, really. I'm looking forward to it. Like mishmash of football rejects and maybe a boxing figure that's got no contract with anyone.
Do you know who definitely will be in? Richie Woodall. Richie Woodall has been on about 28 different TV channels. He loves it. Freelance Richie. He'll get on anyone.
Or if there's a sniff of a fucking commentary job on an obscure channel, fucking Richie's like a fucking greyhound, mate. He's there.
I do like Richie, to be fair. I know we don't get him like every week. I'll probably hate him a bit if we had him every week, but I don't mind him.
Do you know who I really don't like, or I hope isn't doing it? Who's the
Bunty.
BBC? No, well, there's him. We all know him. Who's the BBC presenter who did like the Olympics and stuff? The commentator.
You know about Ronald?
Yeah.
Donald?
Don't like his commentary.
He did
But
the
Oh,
he'll-
the big geezer.
He did the face-off, didn't he, for Hay? Hay paid for his own face-off, and Ronald was at the table, so it may be
Oh, he's going to be in it. Yeah. I mean, nothing against the guy, but I just don't like his commentary. But that's
Ronald
me.
McDonald.
The reason why I asked this question is because overall, I do think it's good for boxing because more people are going to be able to watch it, and that's obviously a good thing. But where I think it's going to end up being, potentially damaging for the sport is it's such an amateurish sort of comedic value to this, and just pathetic desperation that boxing needs to be shown on Dave, and I think it taints the image almost. That was my initial concern, and that Hay is resorting to fight on this channel that's just going to make a complete farce of it. But I suppose that any old gimmick works, and we've seen that with Hearn, where the gimmicks seem to be the focal point almost, and it's getting people in. Maybe not to the absurd degree that fighting on Dave is going to be doing it, but it's what works and it gets more people in. And
Look, what's the worst that can happen, man? I mean,
no, I know that's what
we'll have a laugh. It's only on for an hour. I'm not interested in the undercard. I don't care if they don't show any of it. Hay will come in, 5 or 6 rounds, job done, interview at the end. See you later. Thank you very much.
It just
It's
highlights how serious is Hay about this comeback. I mean,
Well, we'll find out at the weekend. I mean,
Do you not
even
find-
if even if
do you
it's
not-
only like 50% serious, he'll still win. So we'll find out to a degree how serious he is at the weekend. But as you guys said last week, and rightly so, there's not many people that come off 2.5, 3 year layoff at any weight and come back to be a big success. So it's a tough ask.
Do you not find it strange though that obviously with Hay Joshua being a very, very obvious fight to make, I think it's the reason why Hay's come out of retirement,
Yeah.
and yet Sky haven't picked this up. It just seemed a bit strange. I think maybe because of the Matchroom issue along with it, but I mean Matchroom, there was no undercard, so Matchroom could have supplied that, and I think that Hay versus someone would have made sense. But there's obviously a reason why Sky don't want it. I think that the reason the channels may not want it is because it's such a poor fight. I mean, Hay's been out, like I said, last week for a long time, but
it hasn't stopped them before.
No, yeah, it don't matter
No.
the quality of opponent. We've got to remember that this kid is actually ranked number 13 with the Panamanians, I understand. So
Yeah,
but
you bank
that's-
Tony Jetta, right? You bank Tony Jetta.
Yeah, the only
David
that's what I
Hay-
said. The only reason he's got this ranking is because he's been wrapped down the Oceanic, Pacific, Transatlantic, Indonesia title route, which always gets you a ranking. It doesn't have any bearing on quality. He's fought no one, beat nobody, done nothing, and that's why Hayes picked him, because he's a big stiff, and Hay will knock him out early.
I'm pretty sure that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm pretty sure that Hay could have fought on any Matchroom show in the second half of 2015. To be fair, I'm pretty sure that could have happened.
Sky know they're calling the shots, though, don't they? When it comes to Hay, that's the thing, because they know that as soon as it's a big fight against a Joshua or Fury, Hay will have no other option. Sky will put the pay-per-view on, people will buy it, and they'll be calling the shots. They'll let him have all these shitty little fights on Dave and Bravo and Spike and all these shows, and because they can't, he's a risk. He pulls out of fights, he gets injured, blah blah blah. They can't take the risk with him. He'll knock this guy out. He'll have maybe another fight, say, on another channel, and then Sky will jump in and say, "Thank you very much, David. You need us more than we need you. We'll put you on pay-per-view."
Do you think this is a way of Hay gauging part of his own ego and maybe his own worth? I think that maybe his pursuit was to get it on a free TV, but obviously it didn't really pan out that way. for ITV or Channel 5, an actual decent channel. He's gone for this route because I think maybe he wants to say that I don't need, the Sky promotion or the Matchroom promotion. I want to be my own man, so that when he comes to eventually develop these negotiations with Sky and with her, and he's got a bit more of a, a bit more of a standing break, saying, "Oh, look at these ratings I just did. Look how many fucking tickets I just sold. I'm still the man. I'm going to be the A side. Blah blah blah."
Well, he's always been his own. Well, I say he's been his own man for quite a long time. So he's always, when he was with Adam Booth, when he won the world title, he wasn't working with a major promoter, and he's been on other promoters' shows, but he's very much been the sort of priority. Remember when he fought Enzo?
Yeah,
it was a Warren show. It was a Warren show, but he had the much bigger purse. He called a lot of the shots. He was the one not showing up to press conferences because he was asleep. And even back when he was with Maloney, again, he was never. He's always had a lot of power in his career. Remember, he's not actually had that many fights. People forget about that. He started late, and he's not actually had that many fights total across the both weights. But I think you're right. I think this is an ego exercise. I think the fact that ITV didn't take it's pretty damning, because after his I'm a Celebrity appearance and ITV's fledgling 1-2 fights a year interest, you'd have thought that this would be an obvious one for them to pick up. They could start the broadcast at 9:45 and be all wrapped up by 11 o'clock, but the fact they didn't, I think, just shows that the people he's aligned himself with, who I've never heard of before, the Salter brothers, didn't know anything about them. They obviously don't carry any cachet. They don't know anyone in the industry, and obviously they've delivered him what potentially could be a pretty much sold-out arena, but on a rather, I'm not going to say obscure channel, because more people watch Dave than watch Sky Sports, but quite a strange choice.
What about the training situation? How do you think? Do you think he's gone with Shane simply because he's going to get him into good shape and nothing else?
Yeah, he doesn't want someone to talk to do tactics with him, because again, I remember watching him fight Klitschko and he wasn't listening to anything that Booth was saying to him. I think he just wants someone who can get him fit, or not get him fit, but get him sharp. He's always kept himself fit, and when we talked about the comparison with the Hatton's come back after a long time, when he was having to get himself both physically and mentally in shape, Hay is in both in good form. He always talks good game. He looks healthy, and of course he's always in superb shape. So I think it's just more a case of sharpness, and I suppose sharpness of his punches that he'll need to work on. And I think he will look a bit rusty, but we forget that the last time he was in the ring when he fought Chisora was arguably his best fight at heavyweight in terms of a performance, because he was razor sharp, he put his punches together well, and it was his best fight since his cruiserweight days. So if he's anything like that, you never know. We might see a decent run from him, but it's a long time he's had out.
Paul, maybe I need to rewatch it, but my memory of the Chisora fight is Hay getting. The finish was good, but Hay getting not necessarily rocked, but exposed a little bit by Chisora. I think it was at the end of either the second or third round, and Chisora really put it on him, and Hay looked a bit, discombobulated, and obviously he came back and finished it well. But I thought Hay was on the slide in that one. I need to watch the.
Yeah, the shot that Chisora caught him with, I think, I don't know if it was after the bell or pretty much on the bell, and it was more like a slapping punch like Chisora just throw. And he did get that one shot, but that was pretty much it. And then in rounds 3 and 4, he was just being outboxed. I don't think that Hay was throwing masses of shots, but he was landing very sharp, accurate punches. And the thing for me was he looked very quick on his feet, which I thought he looked a little bit slow against Ruiz and Vlad particularly. He just didn't look his usual self. I think because he was so bulky, I think he was quite light for the Chisora fight. But no, and like I said, look at all the guys that Chisora's been in with, and none of them have really done a job on him like that, which Hay did.
That's just the old cliche of styles, isn't it? That's Hay's sort of style of fighting. He's going to come and bomb you out, but I think that really is quite telling of, I've always had this issue with Hay and how people rate him at heavyweight. It's just, what has he done? And like you say, his best win is Derek Chisora, and Adam pointed out, at times he had a couple of struggles with him, but he did clean him out eventually. It's a good win for him, but the fact people rate him so incredibly highly based on that one win, and it is based on that one win, because John Ruiz, okay, fucking Monty Barrett, okay, and fucking Valuev, who Holyfield beat, a few months before that, fucking 48-year-old Evander Holyfield beats Valuev more clearly than I thought David Hay beat him. That's how embarrassing that win is for David Hay, and how insignificant it is. I mean, fair enough that the height difference was substantial and all that, and it is a great thing for him to overcome. But it was a fucking poor fight, should I say? It wasn't like he blasted the cunt out.
Well, people forget how not that exciting David Hay fights are. So people forget about because you think of his explosive power. If you look at a lot of his fights, I mean, I watched the Enzo Mack fight the other day, and the first round was dross. I mean, he put him away in the second, but it wasn't particularly exciting, obviously, to start with. And the Valiev fight, the Harrison fight, we all know what a disaster that was.
He's been in. Going to mention that one.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's been in some stinker. He needs, like I said, David Hay's got to overcome. I don't want to move on from this. David Hay's got to overcome two things. One, he's got to fight and he's got to stay fit, and he can't be pulling out of fights. He can't be out injured. And two, he's got to be exciting to watch. We're in an era now where we've got some good heavyweights, some exciting heavyweights, and we can't have him just sat on the back foot boxing, scraping points wins. That's not what people want to see.
Well, seeing as this chat has actually probably made me reshuffle my itinerary, I'll leave the Twitter questions to now go to what we're going to discuss a wee bit later on the show, the heavyweight landscape for 2016. Now, as you know, politics are going to ensue. A portion of the fragmented heavyweight titles now up for grabs next week. Charles Martin against Vyacheslav Glazkov. WBC title fight between Deontay Wilder and Arthur Spilka. Obviously, you've got Hey Demore on Saturday night as well. Then later on in the month, you've got that guy from America, Jarrell Miller, 15-0-1. He faces off against Donovan Dennis. Joseph Parker's in action on the 23rd of January against Jason Bergman. I don't know what to make of this fight. Probably more like a kind of crossroads fight, but Dominic Braswell against Amir Mansour. I think there's also two prospects on the Pascal Kovalev card, Alexander Teslenenko and Cassius Chaney. I think the Panamanians have basically sanctioned Ortiz against Ustinov fight. That's looking,
Just fucking hell.
Pulev, I think he had a one-round knockout. Still no any other news on that one yet. Stavern, I think's left his manager, so I think he's still in dispute with Don King. I think. He obviously is talking about fighting AJ sometimes towards the end of the year. No word on who AJ is going to fight next. Pavetka is likely to be ringside for Wilder fight next week. I've got a nagging feeling that fight with Wilder isn't going to happen. It's not going to happen, I don't think. What about this one for later on this month? Andy Ruiz against Ike Ibeabuchi.
They were on about that for April, weren't they?
Fucking Jesus.
Is that happening, is it? I heard it rumoured.
I don't know if it's actually happening.
The commission's no sanctioned it yet, and I think they've still got to discuss it.
Fucking the president, yes.
Del Boy obviously had a win there last night. He's been ordered to rematch Robert Helenius for a European title.
Good fight.
Erkin Tepper, obviously the failed drugs test. Now the BDB, which is the German Commission, they have been suspended from the EBU. They've been put on a provisional status, and I think they're still to hear their fate. So I don't know if they'll get banned, but questions certainly need answered as to why that Erkin Tepper's first failed drug test a few months back wasn't flagged up with the BDB.
And that's Tepper out for 2 years.
Yep, wasted. And obviously later on, I think the other thing rounding it off for March anyway is Ruslan Chagayev against Lucas Brown in Grozny in Chechnya for another portion of the Panamanian title. So that's the heavyweight division so far. So guys, the guys that I've read out there, I mean, obviously the division's starting to kind of open up a little bit. The stranglehold's been broken. It does seem like the title's going to get fragmented. So for me, Hay has still got to prove himself. So we'll wait and see what he's got. I'm not going to make any predictions about Demore and about Hay for next week because simple fact is I don't know where Hay is at. So the future obviously is hanging around about, Wilder, Fury, hopefully. Chisora Helenius might be a decent enough fight. I don't know what Ortiz and Ustinov's going to be like, but that's going to be
a fucking massacre, that is.
Oh, what? I mean, Ustinov's so shit, man. It's unbelievable. I mean, I think Ortiz could box rings on him all night. But that's the heavyweight division. So, is it a division after what's happened recently at the tail end of last year? Is it opening up? Is it getting you more excited now?
Yeah, I think that what my issue initially was I think, well, I was worried that when Vlad obviously lost, and you hear straight away the IBF talking about stripping Fury, you think, oh, here we fucking go, belt's gonna get passed around, and just like fucking little toys, and different fucking champion every other month, and it's just gonna be a complete clusterfuck. But what the other side effect of Vlad losing is that there's no one end goal for prospects now, I don't think, and guys rising up through the rankings. There's no thinking, right, we've got to protect ourselves so we can get that Vlad payday. There's none of that anymore. It's, they're starting to fight each other, I think. I think they're going to start, fighting each other and building up rankings so they can actually get a shot at one of these titles. And then because they're all chasing rankings and chasing mandatory positions, you're getting better fights, I think, because of it, and more equal fights. And ultimately, that's what we want. We don't want chasing rankings in the sense of fighting just complete wasters and slowly working up and to get the Vlad shot. It's everyone seems to be on a level playing field now and all wanting that belt. And eventually, they have to come across a couple of 50-50s to do that. And I think that knock-on effect is helpful. We might not get any significant title unifications for a few years, I don't think, unless Vlad beats Fury again. Well, not again, should I say, but beats Fury in the rematch. But we might get better fights.
Carlos Takam, 35-year-old, obviously. 3 wins on the spin since the Povetkin defeat. Well, 110 rounder, but 2 stoppages and one decision over an 8-rounder. There's another guy coming out of New Zealand just now, Solomon, is it Homono? 40-year-old. He's got 23, 2-2, 20 knockouts.
He's no use, Andy.
Yeah. It's Marcel Luis Nascimento. Right, okay. Okay, what next then for Shannon Briggs? Silence is golden.
Chasing Fury around.
Do you know the problem with the heavyweights? I don't think it's particularly about the division, but I watched the film Ali last night, the Will Smith film, and there was something that was really good about the idea that Liston was the champion, then Ali beat him, and Ali was the champion, or Clay beat him at the time, and then it was Frazier with the belt, and then Ali had to beat Frazier, and then Ali had to beat Foreman. It was like it was a linear thing. It was one beat one. He's the man. You've got to beat the man, and that's where Klitschko's dominance was quite good in a way. It was just he is the number one guy. You want to be the guy. You got to beat him. And now it's going to be very fractured. So even though Tyson Fury should technically be the guy, he's not, because it's a mishmash. You can make a case for Wilder's legitimacy for the world, for being the number one in the world. You can make a case for Fury's, and then we're all going to have the IBF situation obviously resolved on Saturday. It's just, I don't know, I think there's something about being the heavyweight champion should be a singular thing. You could make that argument, I suppose, for every division, but for some reason, something about the heavyweight, it's the marquee division, to class yourself as the heavyweight champion of the world. On Saturday, we're going to have 3 of them. And I just don't know, it just doesn't really work for me. I think you've got to beat the guy.
Shit, fucking I'm mute there again. Steve, you want to add anything to this heavyweight discussion, mate, or you still got
I'm a bit more excited. I'm a bit more excited about the heavyweights again. I'm not sure whether I think that one champion is better, like Klitschko reigning on, or whether it's better that the belts are sort of a bit more fragmented. It's a shame that Fury got stripped of his IBF. There's no lineage there for a start. It's thrown straight back out again. Guys like Charles Martin shouldn't be fighting for world titles. Luis Ortiz, everybody knows my thoughts on him. He's skillful. He's a bit old, but he's a very hard puncher, and I like him. And I think he's going to be a good future of the heavyweight division for the next couple of years, anyway. And as for this Joseph Parker, I've heard quite a few good things about him, but the jury's out, to be honest. I'm going to put him in the same category as sort of your Joshua's and just see how he gets on. But I am excited about the heavyweight division again. There's a lot of mediocrity still, and a lot of guys who are pushed up because of the weakness of the division. But generally, I'm excited, and yeah, let's get it on. I mean, Carlos Takam, you mentioned him. I mean, what's he, 7th or 8th in the world in the Transnational Boxing Board? I mean, he's not that great either, is he really, to be honest? I mean, it's wide open there. If Klitschko beats Fury, then Has the landscape changed forever? Is Klitschko going to then start dominating again? There's more interest in it. That's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Just before we get our first caller on, actually, the Panamanians have basically stated that no later than July 27th, the winner of Frampton versus Quigg must face off against Rigondo. I can see a belt getting fucking dumped here, or someone moving up north, as in weight.
Riddick Bowe's dustbin is sitting there waiting. It's empty, ready to be thrown in.
The WBA had 18 months to make Quigg Rigondo, and not only did they not enforce it, they then stripped Rigondo so Quigg could take their super belt to make the maximum amount of sanctioning fee because the IBF don't recognise the regular belt. It's an absolute joke, and I don't give a shit what the WBA are saying, or the Panamanians, should I say. They're making out now that mid rant. I'm excused. I just don't see how that they can justify it and trying to come out like it's a good thing. Like, we want this fight to happen. It's nonsense. They could have made it. They've chose not to, and they know that they've called that. But I'm sure there'll be a way around it. If Quigg Frampton's anything like half decent, we'll get a rematch, and then Rig will be on the sidelines.
Paul's on a 5-minute.
That's all right. I'm eating me dinner, so that's fine. Crack on.
5 minutes in bin. Right, first caller isn't on yet, so I tell you another thing, Adam, I've got a job for you, mate. I've never seen any odds for this fight yet. An agreement's been reached. Still waiting on a date though. Jorge Linares against Dejan Zlaticanin.
Great.
That's a tough fight actually. Now, obviously, Linares, good technical boxer, but he's durable enough. Is his skin going to hold up to it? Because Zlaticanin will come to him and he will fucking put the pressure on him. I'm actually thinking about putting a few quid on Zlaticanin in this fight.
Yeah, well, there's no odds, but it is not yet anyway. But it is a fantastic fight, to be fair. Not the easiest for either of them, particularly Linares. I know you're keen on Zlaticanin, Andy, and I think you were good friends with him on Twitter. If you can be good friends with someone via Twitter, you and Zlaticanin are. Yeah, great fight. When's the date for
it? I don't think they've got a date yet, mate. I think the deal's been agreed. I just think it's just basically the purses or whatever have been agreed. I've not got a date yet. I don't think. At least don't think so as of yesterday, anyway. Just give me a second to you. I spoke to Dejan Zlaticanin after Ricky Burns' fight and stuff. He doesn't speak much English, otherwise I would have had him on the podcast. And so I speak to him kind of like Sundays back and forward with emails and stuff like that. And Steve, he actually, Gary Hyde was actually interested in signing them. Actually, he even showed me a copy of the contract that he got. So.
Don't blame him. I don't blame him. Zlaticanin's a good fighter. And regarding Linares, very briefly as well, I'll take good technical boxer and Reyes. I think Linares is an amazing fighter. Skill-wise, I think he's brilliant. He's right up there, but he's fundamentally flawed. Bad defense, poor skin, gets knocked out, but really, really talented fighter. Excellent fight. Really looking forward to this one.
Right, I think it actually was a mandatory challenger as well. So Dejan, it's went to, I think it was avoided the purse bid, so I think he gets 30%. The purse bid, the mandatory. I think I've not got it. I'm just looking through the article now, mate. I've not seen any dates yet. Just the fact is that an agreement's been made as of Friday morning, so no date yet. Golden Boy hoping for backing from HBO, but the network did not show serious interest in the fight, and without the network's money, Golden Boy never made an offer to DeBella for the fight. So
that'll be a Heyman fight.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's going to end up on like NBC or maybe Showtime or whatever, Right, we've got a first caller on you.
We're about to commit a sin, Andy. I'm not sure how I feel about this upcoming section.
Upcoming section?
I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think we're about to commit a sin.
What? The guy we've got on the call now?
Yeah, I think. But I mean, we could let him off, but obviously we didn't give him the airtime that he so such craved, and he went elsewhere for it. So I can let him off slightly, but I mean, boxing aside, we're just here to build. We're just a step ladder onto. I would say bigger and better, but it's certainly not bigger and it's certainly not better. But we're just a stepstone for people to launch their careers.
Well, Rocco, your response to that?
What is he fucking going on about?
Rocco, every single person who's been on the Next Big Pod started at the asylum. We build careers. We kickstart careers.
Have I ever said any different?
No, but I'm just making it clear to all the listeners that we are we're the originals, we're the best. We kicked our careers. Now crack on.
Okay. Right.
That's your cue off.
Okay. Temple Gates told me, so I'll stay told. How are you, lads? Anyway, you all right?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. What's happening? Good and happy New Year to you. First time I spoke to you, actually.
And you, mate? Yeah. Happy New Year. How are you? Right.
Oh.
Let me just. I've got a question for you. Right.
Uh-huh.
Right. Let me just preface this by saying. Right. The question is, will can you see a David Haye Anthony Joshua fight taking place this year or at all?
That's an important question. I mean, I've actually go through that heavyweight talking without talking much about AJ actually, but
Can I just preface this by saying one thing, right? They over the last year or so, Eddie Earns constantly said, "Oh, he'd fight Derek Chisora, David Price, and Tyson Fury, and he'd beat them now. He'd beat them now," and he said that constantly. And then when he's been pressed on it, Fury said, "We'll make the fight," and then he sort of backtracked and whatever. But he's constantly said about them three. He never used to mention David Haye. And David Haye was put to him once, I think, by Coogan in an interview. And he sort of went, well, David Haye. And he sort of spoke as if to say, like, well, them three, I think he'd beat, but David Haye is different kettle of fish. Yeah? Now, David Haye's come back. Let's say he comes back. We all think he's going to knock the geezer out next week. And then he'll probably fight another couple of times and knock them out. And he's already sort of like started alluding to fighting Joshua, you know, and I heard later this year mentioned. Now, if you're Eddie Earn and Anthony Joshua has not won a world title, does he put him in a fight with a David Haye? Let's say it's the David Haye of 3 years ago, knocked out Anthony Joshua. Because I don't think he does.
I know what you mean. You can't really comment on Hay really until you see him next Saturday. I think he commented as well that this comeback, I think he's going to be aiming for ranked guys. So I mean, Demore, I know he's maybe not a great fighter, but he is ranked with one of the bodies quite highly or whatever. So he's probably trying to fast track himself with trying to fight some of these guys. Will he get Parker, for instance? I don't think so. AJ, as I say, it really depends how good Hay looks. Over the course of the next couple of fights. If he's fighting regularly, mind you, if he's fighting maybe 3-4 times this year before, say, September or whatever, which I very much doubt. This is a guy who apparently his shoulder was actually hanging off and he was advised to retire and that. So we've got the Bionic Man making a return here next week, you know. So, but nah, I personally don't see it happening by the end of this year. I think if a vacant title shot comes up for AJ, I think they're going to go that route and take it, milk that money for a little bit. But as I says as well, I don't know what's going to happen with Wilder. I think he's doing everything he can try to avoid the Povetkin fight. I think he's trying to get Fury or whatever and that. But as for AJ Hay, I don't see it. What about you guys?
I think it depends.
Not this year anyway.
It depends how Hay looks. If he looks shit, then Hearn will go for it. If he looks shit hot, then Hearn will want nothing to do with him until he gets a title and, you know, can milk him a bit more. I think that making couple hundred extra £1,000 on a Hay AJ fight this summer is nothing to how much you'll lose if AJ gets sparked by David Haye.
That's the point I'm making. I don't think he fights it. I mean, look, we know that Eddie don't make in-house fights. I know it's not an in-house fight, but he doesn't like putting them in with like the riskiest, you know, person in the division. He's already sort of like trying to talk up Joshua, Fury, because to me he seems to think that Fury, you know, is an easier fight. But he used to he stayed away from mentioning Haye, and I just think that he thinks deep down that David Haye's a bit more of a David Haye, his best, is a bit more of a dangerous. As Alex said, if he fights him later this year, yeah, it'd be a big fight. But without a world title, if he fights him and David Haye knocks Joshua out, then it sort of kills the momentum and everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. This is our first actually. We're actually contacting someone via Ouija board just now. Actually, I think Brian King's on the line.
happening, people?
What's happening, big man? You've been missing MIA for a week, mate. I mean, good to hear you're still alive.
I'm getting boxing. I'm missing. I've jacked it in.
But you're not going to Frampton Quick anymore, no?
No, not my fuck. No.
You're not going, Brian? You're not going?
No.
You just fucked out £800 for a ticket, you cunt, and you're fucking not gone.
You know what?
You're sounding a bit down, mate.
For basically fucking see the last couple of weeks that get see basically I'll start from the beginning. The politics of fucking boxing, it's absolute fucking dog shit. And I know if people's going to jump in here and get it's always been this way. It maybe has, but see the fact that I come on to podcasts, I was listening to hundreds of podcasts, and then I started doing one. So the more you get involved in it, the more you kind of get sucked into it, and the more you're kind of paying attention to the bullshit. And just see the last couple of weeks, basically mainly, I think the straw that broke the camel's back was Billy Joe Saunders' attitude towards fucking Golovkin. Basically offered me this sort of money. He gets offered fucking minted money, then it's obviously not enough money, then it's to travel back here. I mean, I spend a fucking fortune on boxing and get absolutely fuck all back for it, right? 2015 was magic, right? I basically went to Vegas like Floyd Manny, but that was just the start of the fucking end. Just absolute bullshit the way the tickets and all get distributed. But I think I watched the fight a couple of weeks ago and it just kind of pissed me off. Just basically looking and seeing hundreds of fucking donkeys ringside everywhere. Basically, there's never been a boxing fight and then we've got basically the shite where Smith Abraham. There was nothing wrong with the fucking scorecards. Ends up because of the money situation. It gets a rematch. Crawler Perez. I didn't have a problem with the fucking first fight. And basically, you're only meant to promote a rematch if there's something dodgy about the scorecards. There was nothing fucking dodgy about that. You've got Liam Smith getting a fucking shaft in sorrow to get a world title fight against Thompson, who's a fucking bum. Then you've got Smith fighting Kelly, who is an actual bum, right? You've got Kevin Mitchell, who's getting fucking world title fight after world title fight. And back to Crawler for 2 seconds. They were basically trying to set up Kevin Mitchell to fight him, and then Barroso knocks him out. And then when Eddie Hearn's asked about Barroso, he starts laughing. I mean, I know people found that fucking fine funny, but I didn't find it funny. I'm having to fucking fork out money all the time because of this shite. And basically, we want to see the best fight the best, and he starts fucking laughing as if we know that fight's not going to happen now. And you've got like Kevin Mitchell turning around and saying that he's now going to get maybe a European title fight that Ricky Burns can't even get. And Ricky Burns is getting sent down the WBO route. Fine well known that fight's never going to happen with Flanagan when he can make the Crawler fight, which Ricky Burns doesn't deserve, but he could easily make it, but he's not going to fucking make it. And then we've got like Can Garcia. That should have been made. But Garcia's saying, I'm not going to fucking fight him. I'm going to fight Guerrero. No cunt's fighting in the PBC. No cunt's fighting in HBO. No cunt's fighting with Eddie Hearn. Box Nation's bullshit. You've got Canelo wanting to make up catchphrase. Andre Ward, the most self-entitled fucking wanker that is. And the main fucking topic, basically, Frampton Quigg. What a fucking shitfest that fight is. Absolute fucking shitfest. It's basically been made today the winner's got to fight Rigo, and we've basically got the 2 sets of fucking faggoty fans that are arguing over each other who's going to fucking duck them. I mean, everybody knows I'm a Frampton fan, but all these fucking fans of these both guys are making up excuse after excuse. Why not? And we had the people turning around and saying, Rigo brings no money. Who fucking cares? Why do fans actually give a fuck about what they get paid? What is that problem? I mean, this is just basically the fall of 2015, and the amount of fucking arseholes on Twitter now. Right, I just went, fuck that, man, I can't fucking deal with that. So I stopped fucking tweeting. I sold my ticket to the Frampton fight. I'm going to probably go to Vegas at the end of the year. I'll maybe go for like Golovkin Canelo if it can be made, but at least I got a holiday out it. But I'm not fucking supporting you anymore.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
I agree with everything.
Yeah.
Brian, I'm
Yeah.
clapping. I'm clapping because that was bang on.
Fucking.
Well,
I feel the same way.
I can't disagree with a word, on honestly. I mean, the whole situation is just completely fucked. I mean, the PBC fights now. I mean, okay, Broner against Porter was decent enough fight. but they're very few and far between. And we've got no great fighters. You never see any great fights between any great fighters, and even to that degree, you didn't see any great fights between even some kind of like fringe world level fighters. It's just a total fucking mess.
He's right, and it's the worst I've ever known it in my time for 10 years, since I've been hardcore writing about it for 10 years. It's never been as bad politically wise. I agree with every word Brian says there.
Do you not think, though, that Brian's point, I think we said the other week, about when you're involved in it, the bullshit just ensues you and you just can't get away from it. I think I have friends who are casual as anything, but they enjoy boxing a lot more than me, because they don't know any of the nonsense. They don't even know the promoters' names, really. They just watch boxing. They don't realise how manufactured and shite pretty much 99% of what they watch really is.
You know what it is? It really, we've done this podcast 3 years now, right? And in that time frame, the bullshit we've had to discuss, because sometimes you just can't get away from it, right? You're talking about, for instance, when Heyman was with Showtime and stuff like that, you were constantly having to fucking think about potential opponents for like someone who maybe won the week before, then realise, oh fuck, that person's with Top Rank, that can't be made with Golden Boy because of the rift and stuff like that. So fights when they get made, look at the state of Crawford. Crawford should be possibly knocking the door for pound, and he's fighting Dross, Diori Jean. Who's this other guy he's fighting next week? Hank Lundy. Okay, he's a solid enough fighter, but you're expecting better for a guy who's maybe, the next big star. He's a top talent,
He should be fighting Pacquiao. Why isn't he fighting Pacquiao?
That's Pacquiao.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. Because Pacquiao's in a position where he can go, do you know what? Actually, no, this is my last fight. I'm cashing out. Tim Bradley's a pretty safe fight, and if I lose, then Top Rank crappy. Like I said, we could. The problem is, you could sit and rant. What Brian's just done, you could do that every single week about pretty much everything in the sport, from the promoters, the fighters themselves, the constant. Like I said, what's always got me, and when I've talked about pay-per-view, is the constant obsession with money. Like I said, you never see football fans, rugby fans, right? Let's go individual sports. Yeah, exactly. You never see Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal fans arguing about who's earned more money on the ATP.
Just about the amount of drugs they take. That's what they argue.
Yeah, but they just talk about who's the best. That's all they talk about. In other sports, the same. No one knows what the gate receipts were for the Wimbledon final, because no tennis fan gives a shit how much money the Lawn Tennis Association got from that final. Boxing fans, that was a great fight. That was, the gate was $3 million. I mean, who cares? Promoters have got fans and pundits in a position where they care about fucking checkbooks.
Well, put it this way, see AJ, right? I mean, 420,000 pay-per-view buys against Dillian White for a British title. If you're making that amount of money and those numbers, is there any need to fucking push AJ any fucking quicker?
No, great, well done. I mean, I'm chuffed. Do you know what? You can't knock them for making the money. They've built a person up to the point where a lot of people want to watch him fight. I don't mind that, but I don't care how many pay-per-view buys it's done. I don't care that AJ earned X million pounds for that fight. I care that he took the fight, it was a decent scrap, and he won. The rest of it is just window dressing nonsense that only the people in suits should care about, and yet we're all guilty of it because we all do it. We all talk about the Billy Joe Saunders, like they're talking about the amount of money he's been offered. Just the fact that he was offered the fight, he should have taken it for the money that was good on the fact.
We talk about it because that is the standard of what it is. That is the way boxing is now. I think that everyone has to get involved almost reluctantly into the business discussion because it is that so prevalent. It's when people start making excuses for why fights aren't happening or why a fighter shouldn't fight this. That's when you cross the line from being interested in the sport to being just this pathetic non-entity that just cares about the money, and it's absolutely ruining the sport. People say smugly like, "Oh, boxing is a business. You should know that." It's like, well, fuck off, mate. Don't enjoy the fight.
You know that the sport is in a shit state. Politically, when you've got a sanctioning body having to release statements to clarify their championship situation, that tells its own fucking story.
No, seriously, see when I finally, I shouldn't have bought my ticket for the Frampton fight. I was the most angriest person on Twitter when that fight was getting made.
Yeah, because you weren't going to, were you, Brian, at the time, and then you changed your mind.
I'm not some fucking Rigo fanboy here, right? But I can't. I just want what's fair's fair. Rigo's the champion. He tried to set up a fight. He shouldn't have been stripped. And the IBF, I don't care what people say here. Frampton's team, the IBF, they're involved in this as well. They fucking played this to the system, so eventually the WBA would strip him, so Wake wouldn't get that mandatory, so he would be forced to maybe take step-aside money, so Quigg could get that belt, so it could be deemed as a unification. It was a fucking shitfest, man. An absolute shitfest of politics, right? And now, see, I was having a conversation earlier on with Simon Thompson, and I said I remember when Whittaker was with HBO, went to Showtime to fight fucking Chavez. There was absolutely no problem with that. And we've got every cunt just making excuses for TV deals. I've got TV, I can't fight this person, I can't fight that. You fucking can. There is no such thing as an exclusive TV deal.
Yep.
You can fucking go into another channel if you fucking agree to it. You can do it. You're just hiding behind that to make sure that we don't get these fucking fights. So why should I spend my money, my fucking time to go and watch you fucking cunts fight shite?
That as well. I mean,
Can I?
it's easily. I'll bring in the new Rocco. It's easily made. I mean, fucking. I remember Gary Russell and Lomachenko. Lomachenko was with Top Rank. He allowed him to go across to Showtime and fight Gary Russell. Rocco.
No, I was just going to say. I mean, Brian's right. What he said. When you get too involved in the politics of this sport, you know what I mean. When you're a hardcore and all that, like, and Twitter's got a lot to answer for, because most people who are on there who follow all the daily, he said this, he said that, it's enough to drive you up the wall. But I was just going to say, I know some of you have all been stitched up with this Quigg Frampton and these tickets, and I tried to phone in at the time when the tickets and all this StubHub, and I posted a thing because I fucking hate all that. I fucking hate all that tickets and the fees they add onto them, booking fees and all that. Do you know what? Do you know what the fucking solution to it is? The solution to it is, right, tickets for these boxing fights, put them on sale at the fucking box office, not over the phone, and in that way, the true fans, they'll be the ones camped out overnight for 24 hours in the freezing cold, and then the proper fans will get the fucking tickets. As soon as you do what they do now, where you can buy them online, buy them in blocks, that's how these StubHubs make their fucking money. Go back to fucking having a couple of old women in the box office, pay the $150 booking fee, that's their little tip money, to pay them for the fucking day, and let them stand in the box office all day, opens at 9 o'clock. You go, like they do when these little fucking clubs draw a big team in the FA Cup. Let them go down, let people go and queue up, and in that way, the real fans will get the fucking tickets.
You know how basically you've got a set of group of fans on Twitter. If you're saying about Hearn, it's just you're a hater. I'm trying not to say anything bad about Hearn, because I'm done with that. I'm done with trying to badmouth them all, because I'm just sick of it. But Hearn for months on end hitting out. He's got this exclusive deal. He made a point of telling everybody he had this exclusive deal. Nobody could go on without his say so, until Warren's boy challenged him a few weeks ago. And what did Hearn do? Come out and do an interview that reworded what he said, but he was basically backtracking, but he couldn't admit it. And that's all we wanted. Why couldn't you just be honest? You didn't have an exclusive TV deal. Why are you just lying all the time? Why do you always need to be a liar? Why can't you just be honest? I mean, I've said boxing fans are the biggest fucking weirdos in sport. They will just fucking accept anything. They will pay for anything. They don't give a fuck, and they'll do nothing about it. But I see people that turn around and say, you went to fucking Floyd and all that catchphrase. Aye, Floyd has had catchphrase, so has Manny Pacquiao. It's the biggest fucking fight that in my lifetime. Obviously, I'm fucking going to go to it, right? The politics is fucking, it's done me. It's basically done. I'm a bit of a Floyd fanboy, but he's a cunt and all.
So, mate, you hashtag Team Stream now,
Once my Sky deal runs out, I told you this about a month ago, once my Sky deal runs out, I'll be phoning up and cancelling it, and I'll be telling them exactly why. I'll be telling them that basically, I only have Sky Sports to watch like Real Madrid and the boxing. The boxing's absolutely garbage. Anything decent that's on is on pay-per-view, and when you've got people turning around and saying, well, it must be pay-per-view if people are buying it, I was like, just because somebody will buy something doesn't mean it's worth it. if people are stupid enough to buy something, it doesn't mean it's worth it. It just means that they're stupid enough to pay for it. Like the 420,000 fight for Joshua, just because that the amount of people bought that doesn't justify it making it pay-per-view. It just means that there's that many fucking idiots in the UK that'll pay for it. That should have been a fight on Sky Sports. If that's pay-per-view, I tell you what, see if David Hay, like, next week or whenever he's fighting, like, has done 15,000 in a crowd, and that does good numbers. He'll be back on Sky in his next fight, and he will be on pay-per-view shortly. That's how cynical I am of boxing.
Different levels of pay-per-view. There'll be different levels of pay-per-view. Like it'll be £25 there.
Get the feedback off someone there.
Steve?
Sorry, I was just going to say about Brian was saying the standard of pay-per-view has gone down that low. Do you think they're even going to start to introduce maybe structured tiers of pay-per-view? And if it's a Hay and a Joshua, that's even better, £25.
Well, I've always said that Hearn's end game would be to bring in a Sky Sports boxing channel. That is his end game. I know they'll turn around and say that's not viable. It's not a big enough sport. Trust me, he's got enough of a fan base here that he could pull that off.
True. I mean, I seen a young lassie last night actually posting a picture of him, and it said underneath it, DILF.
What does that mean?
Dad, I like to fuck.
Fuck's sake.
You know, so that's the kind of thing you're talking about.
Guy, man, if I looked like Eddie Hearn and I had his money, I'd be leaving it in absolutely everything. So I can't really bad about that.
Snail trails galore, mate.
I said on the WhatsApp chat earlier on, I was like, I mean, boxing's just basically like a fucking selfish lover. It's happy to make itself come, but it never makes me come. That's exactly what boxing is.
Yeah.
It's just basically give.
It's like a cat. It never comes when you want it to, yeah.
Oh, fuck it. Aye, it is a cat, they bastards. Sorry, the cats are like alcoholics, aren't they? They just come back, they are shite, eat something, fall asleep, then fuck off.
Aye, just keep you bastards as well, always looking for a wee in and out and stuff like that. Yeah, always looking for a shady wee deal.
I don't trust the end of the cat. Massive cats.
I hate cats as well, like they're fucking evil wee things. Right, we'll leave that just now. We'll keep these on there, guys. We've got quite a few Twitter questions to batter through. So maybe get Brian to fall back in love with the sport again. We don't know yet, but we'll wait and see. Adam.
No. I'm fucking team Conor McGregor now. I'm casualed at my nut.
Oh fuck. We'll look forward to that. Michal Reddy's asking Adam, is Andre Ward the biggest waste of talent over the last 10 years or more? My personal opinion on that one is actually no. I mean, how the fuck can you write away what he did in 168 and stuff like that? It's no a complete irrelevance of a career.
I lose track of time, but it's the biggest waste of talent since the day after he beat Froch, really. Which was a good performance, but since then he's done very little to enhance his legacy. To be fair, and he should be, in my book, he should be pound for pound number one. I think there was a time when even I had him rivaling Floyd for that one spot, even when Floyd was active, which sounds a little bit absurd now. He should be pound for pound top three, guaranteed. Whoever's saying it, he should be pound for pound top three. He would be number one for me if he would have carried on that trajectory. Waste.
If that Kovalev fight gets made, I don't care what anyone says, the winner of that fight is pound for pound number one.
Yep.
That's my opinion, and I would defend it strongly. Alex Frank White's asking, what's more believable? A, Hay choosing to be on free TV, B, Tommy Allen saying the sky is blue, or C, Stephen Avery is innocent? I've got to go with Avery.
Hold on, lads. I'm watching Dave, and there's an advert for the Hay fight.
All right.
Oh, fucking hell, Paul. I'll let the press, mate. I'll let the press. I've
not seen this advert before David yet. David Hay versus Mark Demore live on Dave.
Share it with your camera.
Hashtag Heyday. Oh, it's come and gone now. That was exciting. Oh, I got me then.
Dave on Dave.
Oh, sorry, Alex. Carry on, mate.
I've completely forgot the question. I'll choose the answer that slags off David Hay.
Right. Brian, Matt's asking, your most overrated active fighter, his is Danny Garcia.
So I said this earlier on to something that I personally think that Canelo's the biggest hype job in boxing. I really do. I think basically most of these wins have came because of his size. I really, really do. I give him credit for like Lara and Trout. I mean, that they have decent wins here, but I tell you, once he fights somebody that's is a proper size. I mean, that's how I don't know if the Golovkin fight happens, right? But it gets absolutely wasted in that. And the only reason he beat Cotto, see if it was like, see if Cotto and Canelo were in even standings, like the size of them, and things like that. Cotto would have beat him. Cotto was a far better fighter than him, far better boxer than him. It's just the fact that he's always been massive compared to everybody else. And I don't particularly think he's that good.
No, I'm a big fan of Canelo, and my fandom for Canelo is growing by the fight. He will still get battered by Golovkin, but the one thing you say about Canelo, unlike his Mexican counterpart Chavez Jr., when he gets battered by Golovkin, he'll come back. He'll come back, he'll go again, and he'll win another slice.
But maybe so, but I can tell you right now, see if Floyd came out like next year and that fight was made, he would still beat him, no matter what.
Golovkin ends that career. Golovkin will end his career.
Because
Because I'll tell you,
tells him.
he's been pro since he was 16. He must be 25, 26 now. This guy he doesn't make weight right. I don't think. He's always draining himself down, so he can only keep doing it for so long before he's forced to move up fully.
See, the thing is, though, see for the Canelo fight and the Cotto fight, that's probably the best I've seen him in the scales for a long time. He didn't look that bad. He looked dry, but he didn't look as gaunt as he's looked in the past fights.
Is he fighting Rosado next?
I hope
talk
not.
about that fight.
That's an absolute joke. And that's another thing, right? See if he's to fight Golovkin, right? Fair enough. We'll give him a fight before that. But would this fight Rosado or Monroe do? Rosado's a punch bag and Monroe is a boxer. That does nothing for you. The best fights for him to take is what? The best fights for him to take is maybe like a Terry Arnold Johnson or a Lemieux or something like that. Why are you taking people that are exact opposite of Golovkin?
Yeah, maybe it's another easy payday and stuff like that.
That's going to be in a pay-per-view.
Rosado,
for fuck's sake, Rosado's as bad as Jimmy Kelly.
Well, he's probably shot enough anyway. David O'Hara's asking, does anyone really give a fuck if Can Brook happens now? Brook has always been a joke and Can is doing his best to be worse. We discussed it earlier on there, eh?
Yeah, I still want to see it. I mean, we've gone through the whole thing, haven't we? Khan chasing Mayweather, Pacquiao, don't really blame him for that, but the third best fight behind those two is Brook, but Brook's inactive, Khan's inactive, the fight's losing a bit of luster by the month, and Khan's going to have a fight beforehand, you would have thought. Brook's going to have to sharpen up. He hasn't fought since, I don't know, when was it, May or something? Or July? It's a good long way away, so... Yeah, the shine's been taken off the fight, definitely. Are they going to pack these big stadiums like they think? I don't think they are. Will it even happen? I'm starting to think it might not. I mean, no. I still want to see it, definitely. I still want to see it. I fancied Khan, but I just think the pair of them they're ebbing away at the moment. They need to just fight.
Paul, Danny Robson says, who down the years has been the biggest threat to young up-and-comers? Daniel Boone, Sergei Kamitsky, Ray Popolatsky, I think that's Ray Pops. He says Jim Flynn. I'm assuming he means fireman Jim Flynn from like the 1910s, 1920s heavyweight who basically fought everyone like Jack O'Brien and Sam Langford and all those guys.
I think Kamitsky is an interesting one. I think Kamitsky, I don't think he stops prospects. I think he sort of shows up guys who are slightly overhyped. So he's a very, very solid fighter. On paper, he looks quite simple to beat, and he has been beaten numerous times, but he's obviously shown up or obviously pulled off draws or beaten the likes of, Adam Etches, people who have been progressed very, very slowly, and then, he just absolutely wallops them. And I think that the John Ryder fight's an interesting one. John Ryder, his career has been going sideways for about 2.5 years. I think this could be. I don't know if it would be an upset if Kamitsky beat him, but I think it's got the hallmarks of it. Even though Sergei must be pushing on for 40 now, surely.
Kamitsky, he must be. Maybe even slightly older than that. 38, 39 maybe slightly older.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously this is a fight that's been made for Ryder to look good in, but I don't think that many fighters do look good against Kamitsky, and I think it's sort of Matchroom really sort of pushing Ryder as if to say, come on now, you need a decent win, you need to push past this level, or you may have to accept that you aren't ever going to be more than what you are.
And this would be a decent win as well.
It would.
Fuck's sake, he's shaving.
What we got? Well punch bag.
Okay.
So well punch boxing Alex. Oh, I didn't want to go to Adam in case he ends up cutting himself or
Is
slicing his
that a
throat
bic
and that.
he's using? A cheap bic?
Oh yeah, these are proper shit. Look how shit they are.
You
Wilkins
can even
and
shave
stuff.
your mom's legs, fuck's sake, look at the state of that.
I only have to shave twice a week, and I'm that serious. Twice a week.
What?
Bloody hell.
And you
Just
choose
made the
one of
mistake
those
of
days. One of those days has to be on the podcast, is it?
26 years old.
Honestly, you
Looking
just
body
need
like an Adonis.
you need to you need to follow this guy on Snapchat. It's a shame he's so shy about what he does day to day.
Yeah. Alex, well punch boxing. It says who's the best active fighter never to win a world title, not including prospects, Matisse and Andre Darrell. He's basically asking.
Well, that was going to be. I think Matisse was probably going to be the answer for that.
Scott Quigg.
You have to go some way these
Yeah, I
days
mean-
not to be able to win a world title, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost becoming more, better to not to win the world title. I mean, how skilled must you be to not pick up a belt in this climate?
I mean,
Paul Smith.
aye, that's true. Oh, I can see why you're not going to Manchester now, mate.
Nah, they'll kill me.
I mean, could you? Yeah, I mean, he said no prospects. I mean, fucking hell. I mean, you got to really go through it, but I mean,
have a quick
is
scan
there-
here.
so
Fanfara, maybe.
yeah, from far was a good shout.
I'd say Darrell was the most naturally talented guy that's
Yeah,
not had a
but again,
belt.
he
John
said
Dudley.
not Darrell.
John Dudley.
Fuck's sake. Maybe Louis. Would you count Luis Ortiz as a prospect? And obviously the fake Panamanian shite that he's
What
got.
about, I was going to say, what about Povetkin? I was just going to mention that about because he had that second tier Panamanian belt.
Yeah, he had the regular, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, someone like that. Someone that's probably like held a bitch belt, but hasn't had the full title or
It's a
something.
tough question off the top of your head, Alex, to be honest.
Yeah,
Danny
like
Jacobs.
you said, without excluding those two obvious ones, I think it's a good question.
Danny Jacobs.
Martin Murray might be a good answer.
That boy says Afolabi.
Aye, I suppose.
It's a good one.
He's
Yeah,
IBO. He's the big IBO champion. They got nearly much as credibility as the Panamanians.
Something for a bit more thought anyway. Next question, Brian. Matt's asking my usual question plus if you could go back and sit ringside for a fight you watched as a kid, which one and why?
Ooh.
it's a brilliant noise to have on a podcast. Though.
Fucking hell, Adam, man.
Pissing like a racehorse, man.
Just imagine if you're listening to this, you're not watching the feed, so you can't see what he's doing. All you hear is silence and then a fucking toilet flushing.
I was trying to give serious thought to that there.
I had an answer to that question as well.
You're breaking up,
Well,
Adam. You're in
well,
the
you-
bathroom.
Well, you sound so good, Adam. We can't hear the answer to that question.
Right,
First
when
on
you
your
go.
keyboard.
Brian, when you go.
I was trying to hank a fight that I wasn't wanting to hanky like a fight that I wasn't fucking living during the time. Since I was a bit of a fanboy, and I'd probably say fucking Nazim v Kelly. I quite liked see Nazim v McCulloch. I liked all the Halloween shite and all. I think that'd have been quite good to that. But Nazim Kelly would have been good because like every company's going ape shit because of the walkout, and then it's a belter of a fight, and I was probably just bang right into my boxing about just after that time. So, aye, New York would have been good. I've not been there. I'd have probably died about that time.
Do you know what would have been good? The fan man, the Bo Holyfield. Can you imagine sitting there and then just starting to realise what's happening? Imagine the buzz in the arena. It would have been class, and then he jumps in and everyone sort of dives on him and starts kicking his head in.
Like, Riot fucking central, wasn't it?
Yeah, that would have been brilliant.
Was it George Foreman? He was protecting Jim Lampley for like fucking fans and stuff like that. You could hear him on the background saying, "Don't do that, son. Don't do that."
Yeah.
I think a lot of when you think about like going back to an old fight is it's not necessarily a brilliant fight, but it's something. If you said when you were a kid and you remember like anything like football matches or any other thing, you remember certain ones. I mean, if I could be anything, it'd be Lewis Tyson. Not because it was a particularly good fight, but it was the first time I ever stayed up till the stupid hours to watch a fight. So I'd always say just to be there for that, because that's sort of something I can remember when I was like think I was 10 when that fight happened, 10 or 11.
Yeah,
So
No
I remember,
no mentions yet of like Ben against McClellan.
fuck
well,
that,
I'm
man.
not.
I only watched that fight once. I'm never watching that fight again.
I
How?
was five. I was about
Yeah.
5 years old, mate. So
Yeah, I'm too young for that, mate.
As much as I think McClellan was a scumbag, and I'm not too bothered what happened to him because he was getting up to outside the ring. I know what was coming, and I don't want to watch that again.
Yeah,
I just
I
thought
agree with you.
the full fight just like see, because you already know what happens, and then you can see how bad the referee is and McClellan's cornerman, and I really do think he should have been counted out in the first round. So I'm always got a bit of a fucking grudge for that. So
What year was that? Was that 95?
95.
95.
I was
even
13.
like Hatton Shoe, that'd have been good because like, at that point you still thought Hatton could get knocked out here, and it just looked buzzing, mate. Like Warren fucking stuck in 22,000 people near me, and don't know how he squeezed all of them in. It just looked carnage.
Adam, Emily Rogerson asks, what do you think of a Super 6 tournament in the heavyweight division? Hey, Fury, Joshua Wilder, Klitschko and Povetkin.
Just advice to Emily: just wake up from that dream that you're having, because that is not happening in a million years.
Adam, there was a Super 8 tournament recently. Michael Scott was in it,
France
Martin
both are.
Rogan, Sonny Boy.
Martin Rogan.
Tournament, that.
Who's Emily? Who's talking?
Our friends.
Did you just hear that?
What?
There's somebody talking about Emily and telling her it's not happening.
Aye, Adam.
Who's he talking to?
She asked the question.
All right. I thought somebody was asking for a poll or something like that.
I think we're starting to understand why Shep has usurped Brian again now, aren't we?
Brian's on the MCAT against frying his brain. Or the MDMA. Right, Darren Parsons. Alex, sum up in a few words what you would like to do to the Panamanians after hearing today's Rigo Quig Frampton news. Acid on the face, twats, hashtag.
Yeah, acid on the face is quite a good one. I mean, on the surface of it, you think, oh, that's a really good decision by the Panamanians. Well done. But then, as Brian's pointed out, and I think Paul mentioned as well, it's like, why is it taking them this long to do it when they had, 18 months or so to make Quig fight him, but they never fucking bothered. But now they're piping up and trying to get their money's worth by making, what will essentially be the new superstar of the division. Whoever wins between Frampton and Quig, they're going to try and force him to fight, Rigo, who has now got he's actually got a backing of a promoter and, sort of a network. I think Jay-Z is getting quite in with HBO at the moment. So, it's very convenient of them to start thinking about Rigo after stripping him, for absolutely no reason. And now they suddenly care about him that we can offer them some fucking money. It's embarrassing.
Right. Paul Junior asks, if Joshua and Campbell had turned pro with Warren, would they have had better or worse fights, excluding the Sky hype?
I don't know. I was trying to compare it to when De Gale, and Billy Joe, and Frankie came through after 2008. De Gale was in some quite good fights around the sort of 8, 9, 10 fight mark, so they may have progressed them a bit quicker. I think that Joshua's progression's been okay. I think where he is at the moment, barring a few months out he's had with injuries, I think he's about probably where we'd expect him to be. I think the big one was Campbell. I think that Eddie Hearn would, and he won't admit it, but I think if he, in private, he'd say that he got that wrong. I think that the way he structured him towards the Tommy Call fight, the way he dragged that out for so long, I don't think that's a fight that Warren would have done. I don't think he'd have looked to go that route. I think he'd have boxed Campbell across the country rather than just building him up in Hull. I think he'd have tried, which is what he did with the Olympians. He had them boxing all over the country when he signed them. And I think Campbell may have been in a slightly better structured position under Warren than Hearn, but I think Joshua's about where we'd expect him to be.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that Campbell probably would have done better off, maybe not ready for Mendy perhaps at that stage, because he still had to obviously contend with the issues with his father's illness and etc. But Warren probably wouldn't have put him in with Mendy. He would have been building him up a bit differently. Whereas JJ, I think that the opponents that he's fought, is really both insignificant, and I couldn't see Warren really putting him in with much different.
I said to Alex yesterday, the absolute hyper Josh is the only thing that's absolutely brainwasting, right? And they're always going on about like he's the greatest of all time. And I says to Alex, like, see Lewis at the same stage as Joshua, he was fighting Gary Mason for the European. Who Gary Mason was no beast and all that, but he was like something like 30, 31, 32 fights or something like that, and he was undefeated. He could punch, and Joshua's hardest fights basically a novice Brit. So I don't. One matches these guys a bit tougher than Hearn. Hearn's just basically trying to build guys up to get them onto pay-per-view. So and like casuals love knockouts, don't they? And the more and if they keep turning around and saying this guy's a machine, could be the greatest of all time. For some reason, they've now started shoehorning in Adonis, like as if he's some sort of Adonis.
Adonis Creed.
Aye, but they have. I've heard people now calling them the Adonis. I'm like, go away. So one would have probably matched him a bit harder. He'd probably be a bit further forward. He'd probably have fought like Helenius in that by now.
A bit more intelligently, I think that he might have matched him against opponents that might have.
I don't think that Joshua's opponents have been that bad. It's just that the fact that they make out as if they're a lot better than they are when they're not.
It's the hype though, mate. I mean, everybody can remember Barry. I mean, as long as Barry Hearn's allowed to speak, man, it's going to get out of control. I mean, he's got the jab of Liston, he's got the chin of Ali, he's got the right hand of fucking Ernie Shavers and all that sort of shit. I mean,
I just think he's the greatest. I've just come to the conclusion that he's the greatest troll. He's even better than Tommy Allen.
Tommy's not a troll, is he?
No.
He's a pain in the arse, that's what he is. That's what
Hey, we got an hour and a half special out of that.
They can't be fans are fucking idiots.
Eh?
We're glad you're not dead, though, Brian. We're glad you're not dead.
Right. I've been on and off of Twitter, like, but mainly just to go into Tommy's account, and I says to Alex, I've blocked about 200 people in the last 7 or 8 days just because he has like Twitter feed and stuff like that. It's just there's so many idiots.
Just shows you, man. It's actually quite sick. I mean, Tommy's comments could be construed as sick, but it was actually the amount of people that was actually favouring the tweet. That's when you know there's some sick bastards out there. Like,
yeah, sorry about that.
Next question, Boxing Banter UK. Adam, who do you want to see Billy Joe Saunders fight next? I'll tell you what, I also want to see, just on Billy Joe, I actually want him to stop cutting about toon with his fucking WBO belt around about his waist and that. He's like a fucking, he's like a school kid who just got his fucking first football top and he never takes it off, goes to bed with it and fucking stuff like that. I mean,
he's fucking reeking eventually.
Yeah.
Well, I want to see him fight Golovkin, but I think what we'll end up with is one of Frank's boys, possibly.
Langford?
Possibly Tommy Langford, yes. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We might end up with. I mean, I do think we was talking about doing a good job with the youngsters. I think he's done an excellent job with Billy Joe Saunders. He's fought so many undefeated people. He's gone British, European, world. You know, it was obviously a very, very good performance against Andy Lee. I thought it was absolutely superb that night.
I'll tell you one fight actually that might be pretty decent now from a technical standpoint. Actually, I mean, if just leaving the Golovkin fight aside, I mean, what about Nandam and Saunders?
He's been beat one too many times for me.
Yeah, nah, but he's not a good.
It's not even going to be as good as Ndam. I tell you what, it's going to be a corpse.
What about has Quillin still got a route into the WBO?
Quillin is not ranked, I don't think.
It's not going to be anyone decent, like Steve said, and decent is a term that's used very loosely with the middleweight division at the moment. It's going to be someone that's just abysmal. I mean, Tommy Langford. I propped that question even before the fight had happened between Billy Joe and Andy Lee, but even now I'm thinking, well, maybe is that a bit too much? Is that too much of a risk? Because I think that what they're ultimately trying to do is they got offered that ridiculous money apparently from Golovkin and they didn't accept it. What they're trying to I think what they're trying to do is wait until Golovkin destroys Canelo. Then Golovkin will become this just insane sort of pay-per-view star, and I think they reckon they'll get a few more quid out of him because they'll be desperate for that final belt. I think that's the plan, but until then they've got to tide Billy Joe over with the most atrocious, abysmal defences you've ever seen.
But to be fair, he hasn't took them. He hasn't been got to this point in fighting trash. He's fought half decent, and Andy Lee's obviously half decent. It's not like Wilder.
No, I'm not saying he's got to the point. He's done very well getting to this point and
Yeah.
fought decent opposition, but now he's got the belt, and his end goal is to get the millions and millions that he wants from Golovkin.
Can I
Why would he risk it?
Can I also remind folks that Billy Joe, when not motivated by an opponent, is a danger to himself and Frank. So
Did he not come in at like super hit middleweight? Or?
yeah, you need to be careful from that standpoint as well, because Frank has hardly got anyone left at all. It's Billy Joe and then not much else. So they need to be careful.
Have any of you seen that Arif Magomedov fight? Is he any good?
No.
Well, is he one of the Ukrainians or is he the Azerbaijani or something?
I've not got a clue.
I might have seen some of his
Right.
amateur fights just looking at. Aye, I have actually. I've seen some of his amateur fights. I've not seen any of them as a pro though.
I mean, he's number one in the WBO.
I mean, look who he's beat. Patrick Mendy, 12-round decision. Derek Finlay, 8-rounder. He won over 8 rounds. Daniel Boone, he knocked out in the fucking first round. Other than that, he's got an assortment of Russians on his card and stuff. In fact, he's not fighting anybody really with a pulse, I suppose. And he's, this is the thing about these sanction bodies. He beat a couple of guys with a couple of regional belts involved, cries a sanctioning fee, and then you get fucking next minute before you know where you are, you're fucking next in line for a title shot, like Luke Campbell was. I think he was ranked. Was he ranked quite high with WBC? Look at Joshua, he's ranked quite high. But fuck.
Well, Tommy Langford's number 6. That just shows you how bad it is. I mean, Eamon O'Kane's number 8 in IBF. He could easily drag Eamon O'Kane over, and they can turn around and say, "Oh, he's ranked highly in other organisation bodies." There's serious fucking bribery going on with these. It's legal bribery with these daft international intercontinental belts. That's all it is. I'm sick of it.
Extortion bodies. So they are. Next question, Jimmy Patterson, no minute to go here. Jimmy Patterson, Steve, best win of any fighter so far in this decade?
What are you going to say in this year? The best win of any fighter this decade?
Yeah.
Well, what, like Mayweather over Pacquiao?
I'm assuming 2010 onwards, so...
It's got to be that, isn't it? I mean...
That's the big issue. That's it.
Right.
When was Martinez Paul Williams?
2011.
Man, I thought, Paul Williams was about a man. And I was fucking shocked at that, to be perfectly honest. I know it was a dodgy decision last fight, but I wasn't surprised with Floyd Pacquiao.
I think Pacquiao Marquez 4.
Aye.
I think that's probably him. That was it was the last great bit, the last massive pay-per-view that was actually very good in terms of main event, and it was just a stunning fight. I mean, it was just people forget how good that fight was.
With Chino against Cloner was a good fight.
Yeah, that was good for everyone. Just that's when fans just really wanted someone to win, and then he got the win. But I suppose best fight's difficult, isn't it? It's a difficult one to answer.
When was Pavlik against Taylor?
That was 2007 or 2006.
Was it?
Or 6. That was years ago.
Andy,
Yeah.
Yo.
what about Rocky Burns against Romy Martinez? Nobody. Nobody.
Aye.
Stole them.
I was Kelvin Hall that night. I remember sitting next to this English boy and stuff like that, and he wanted a bet with me. He says Burns is going to get beat, so national pride on the line and stuff like that. He says, right, okay, 50 quid. Burns is going to win. I've actually made a video on my YouTube page, and I actually posted it up, for the decision. See the crowd that night, man, it was fucking jumping. And the Kelvin Hall actually has got like two big, it's not big stands, but it's got two stands really looking down right across the arena. So it's actually a good view. You didn't get a bad seat in the Kelvin Hall, so really good night that. Who could forget the Gonzalez fight, man? That was just pure fucking comedy gold, because after Dave the Hater fucking tweeted me, because I was really slagging off Cotto at that time and the Puerto Ricans and all that sort of stuff. And, because Gonzalez was a Puerto Rican, and it was just tremendous. And he turns around and does that in the middle of the ring. Fucking brilliant. Brilliant. Couldn't write fucking... Hollywood couldn't have wrote that better. George Reynolds, Brian says, what weight has the best 4 world champions? In his opinion, it's featherweight.
The fucker stole my thunder. Does it need to be? Does it need to be like 4 separate Champions League? Because you can turn around and basically say like heavyweight.
Yeah, I suppose. What we'll say is we'll just
Flyweight,
change. We'll,
I'll
we'll
say
change his
flyweight.
question up. We'll change his question up and say is who holds, what weight has the best champions across the 4 titles, or shall we say?
Yeah,
Something along those lines. So you got, maybe flyweight,
yeah. I'll say flyweight.
super flyweight probably as well.
Yeah, I can only go. I can only kind of fucking wing it when I get down to the divisions and just kid on.
Well,
I-
flyweight's got Gonzalez, Estrada, and Ruin Wrong, and Ioka if you want to count the regular.
Yeah, flyweight you got Kudras, Kono, McJoe, Arrow, and Inoue. But then
I quite like. See, you know how the people have been shitting on like the featherweight, and they were shitting on like super featherweight, saying it was a dead division. Fucking super featherweight's an absolute crank
I was
division.
going to say that you got Vargas, Uchiyama,
It
Fortuna,
was
Graza.
shite a few years ago. To be fair, it was a bit of an empty division a couple of years ago, but now it's picked up.
I mean, I was going to say, welterweight's a strong division as well. In terms of the champions, if we're talking about Brook, Bradley, Thurman, that's a strong division.
I mean, lightweight's probably the shitty division now. I know it's got everybody roughly about the same level, other than like, kind of maybe like Linares and Verdejo. But all the rest of them, well, maybe Bartholomew, but all the rest of them are kind of bog.
That division's actually wide open for someone to actually take over it. Actually,
Burns?
Burns. The likes of Flanagan, Crawler, and stuff like that. I mean, I think they'll have a couple of good wins here and there, maybe. You got Barroso still in the mix. Laticana, who I think was going to beat. I'm backing him to beat Linares anyway. Who else we got? Bartholomew. He maybe rise to the top. Who knows? We don't know. I think he's Cuban, so we just don't know how.
Richard Comey's a decent fighter.
I was going to say Richard Comey. Actually, he's like the African Road Warrior. He's fighting all over the place just now.
I think he might be fighting Bartholomew.
Yeah, and
What's in the canteen?
no,
He's travelled all over.
I don't think he has fought in the canteen yet. Actually, just give me a second to check on this. This is an important question Steve's asking.
I mean, when he came over and he
Yep,
beat
he
Gary
has.
he beat Gary Buckland, didn't he? And a lot of these African guys when they come over, I said they struggle against a certain level, but he completely outboxed Buckland. He's not just power, but he can work.
There was
He
an
has-
article about him in the
graduate.
last month's Boxing Monthly.
Yeah.
Best in character, that Comey.
He hasn't just fought in the prison canteen. He's fought in the cantonments in Accra, Ghana, which is like some sort of kind of some place with the store troops and stuff like that, the soldiers and all that.
That's a shitty rip-off. I don't count that.
And you've got the city engineers yard, so he's always been fighting in the fucking in front of some scaffolders and stuff like that, some shipbuilders.
On the scaffolding, probably.
Yeah, probably. Aye. Right, 2 more questions, I think. Jerry Murray asks, what second job can the pervy whisperer Virgil Hunter take on in 2016, given he doesn't earn from Ward and Cannes purses anymore? Paul.
I wait all that time for a serious question, and then I ended up with that.
Carlos Molina.
Do you know what? I mean, I don't think Virgil Hunter is particularly the best trainer in the world. I'm not sure he quite deserves the amount of stick. He's just, he's very quiet. I think he's one of those trainers that does a lot of the stuff in the gym. I think he's, as a corner man, he's not particularly exciting to listen to, but I'd rather have that over Teddy fucking Fireman any day of the week in my corner.
I've actually got another 2 coming here for Twitter, so that will see us through to the end of the show. Headlow asks, what historical fights would you recommend that show the different styles of boxing, i.e. come forward, back foot, counter, etc.? I'll tell you one fighter to look out for actually is the Australian, Johnny Famuga, his name is or something? He fought Lionel Rose. Let me check off his name just now.
I don't even know who the fuck you're talking about.
I think it goes back to like the 50s or something like that,
Fuck's sake.
Give me a second.
What was that thing the other day when people were talking about the best fighters of all time? Was it you, Brian, that put up about anyone that has Harry Greb or someone at number one? Yeah, but just there's zero footage of him.
That's
but
it. That's his name. It's Johnny Famichon against Fighting Harada. That was a good.
Johnny Famichon, yeah.
Aye, the Australian. I think he fought Harada twice. I think quite good fights. I I remember one fight actually that I watched. This is about '69. I think Wally Pep was the referee for one of the fights. I think it might be the rematch. Can't remember.
Poor man's Isaac Chilemba.
I see that dropping the knowledge. Dropping the knowledge tonight.
Dropping listeners by the look of it.
Is it? How many we lost over that question? Just 10, that's okay. I can't think of any other fights off the top of my head just now. Give me time to think about that one and we'll get back to you. But rounding off, two-part question comes from Kyle Smith. Question for the pod. What would your realistic dream fight be for Frampton Quig undercard? And 2, who will we likely see on the undercard? Well, we know Ryan Burnett's on the undercard anyway, but the dream fight, forget about it, man. I mean,
you ain't getting nothing.
Nah.
Someone pointed out the irony of Luke Campbell appearing on a Carl Frampton undercard on the YouTube chat, and I thought it was fantastic.
That's the thing. He's not even going to be on it now because it's 7 weeks away.
No, the undercard. The problem is from day one was because it's a split promotion and McGuigan's got a load of tat that he needs to get out. You know, they were never going to match them. There was never. Remember this whole thing about we're going to do like an England versus Ireland thing? Crap, absolute nonsense. It was never going to happen. So you end up with McGuigan's boys in showcase fights. I mean, I like Josh Taylor, but you have like Conrad Cummins and those guys in nothing fights, and then Matchroom aren't looking to put much on the undercard just because they've got Isaac Lowe in a Commonwealth title fight. They'll add a few bits, but there'll be no decent chief support.
It's going to end up, I think, as Brian says, it's like what 6-7 weeks away and stuff like that. If anyone's going to be on that undercard, they need to have known. If it's going to be like a title fight, biggish type fight, you'd think they must have known a few weeks back that they're going to be fighting there or whatever, so they get a decent camp. So I don't expect any big things coming for this undercard. Like
I've seen people turning around and like having a debate. I don't know who it was that posted it. Ask you, do you bother if it's like a shite undercard for this? And everybody's like, no, we've already paid for the main event. Well, see if you're not bothered. See the people that were turning around and saying that they're not bothered if it's like a shite undercard. These are the fuckers that sit there for 5 o'clock and watch every fight. So if you're not bothered, why are you sitting there and putting your time and effort in to watch the full fucking undercard? Of course there should be an undercard. You're paying fucking some serious money for this. Of course you're just paying for the main event, but the main event's only 36 minutes. You're paying for a full fucking shift. So why shouldn't you get stuff underneath that?
And I think we've all been to shows that have had shit undercards, and it does make a difference. And like I said, with Hey Klitschko, with Hey Klitschko, fucking the undercard for that was just tragic. And you do sit in the arena, and it does take a little bit of the buzz away. I mean, I think for pay-per-view, like I said, we always talk about it is about the main event, but it doesn't hurt to put on something on the card, something as well to look forward to, even if it's even if it's like a Brian Rose, Matthew Macklin, something that's vaguely interesting as a well-matched fight, and we're going to get none of that.
Completely agree.
I just don't understand the amount of money that's going to be generated for this fight. We can get right back to Broch Groves too. That sort of money's going to be put back into the boxing, and we're going to get better fights. No, what you've actually done is you've took that money, you've banked it, and you've put all the fights on pay-per-view, so we don't get any decent fights. We've had one, I can't remember off the top of my head, but maybe one good card, the Manchester card with Quig and Crawler, that was it, maybe on Sky. I can't remember any other ones, right? But you've got so much, they must have so much money fucking banked here. I know they're a profit-making business. We're off our accounts, we're only here to make money. Fair enough, but why not give back to the fans a bit? Why not properly fucking stack this card? You stacked the Manchester, the London card with Bruckner on it. Why can't you stack this? You don't want to because it's sold out quick. Because every fucker bought tickets because they're idiots. Fuck boxing.
Look at the old Don King undercards. I mean, I know we're sort of on different levels here, but he would have put he would have had 8 freaking title fights back to back. It was brilliant. You'd sit up all night watching it. Every fight was decent.
He had the likes of fucking McClellan v Julian Jackson on the undercard about the third, fourth fight in. Like Tyson Chavez and all that.
Hopkins, Joppy, and then a load of others after it. And
thing is, though, I suppose they've got to look at it and go, what would a good fight add to A, ticket sales? In this case, it won't because it's already sold out. And B, to pay-per-view buys. Would people be more inclined to pay for it if it had, X, Y, Z on the undercard? I don't think people necessarily will. Most casual fans buy into, obviously, they're buying into the main event. I mean, Bellew cleverly, the undercard was absolutely abysmal. but at least it's one of the longest, most drawn-out, horrible shows ever. But it had names on there, but I don't think it added any value to most people's decision to buy the fight. They didn't buy that fight to watch Jamie McDonnell. They bought it because they wanted to see the main event, and I think it'll be the same with this. And that's the fact that it's the co-promotion with McGuigan has also caused the issues because, you know, neither side wants to concede and give away their petitioner part of their money to put towards a decent fight as an undercard. They want it's like anything like Brian said earlier, when it's all about the money, both sides want to make squeeze every penny out of this as possible from the fighters and the promoters, and they're not going to make money giving it away to undercard fighters.
Fucking put Mitchell on me. Put Mitchell on me, Deaton. I said earlier on, I wouldn't put money on Mitchell actually winning that fight now. He would lose.
He's going to get another world title fight at some point, I suppose. And
But
Burns will be fucking fighting for like the Scottish title or something like the Scottish area title at some point.
Like I said before I stopped tweeting, I don't give a fuck how many title fights he gets now. I've accepted it. I know for a fact he'll never win one, so all I'm going to be doing is sitting watching somebody get knocked out. So I'll deal with that, no problem. Mitchell can get as many title fights as he wants. He's just going to get knocked out every time.
Do you know what will be interesting though? Less than 40 days after Quigg Frampton, we're going to have Anthony Joshua's pay-per-view. Be interesting to see what they do with that with the card.
They're going to have Tyson Fury and Vlad about 4 or 5 weeks after that as well.
Yeah, so you know we're going to have, like I said, over just over a 3 month period, we're going to have 3 pay-per-views on Sky alone, and that's not including what Warren's got planned if he does actually go through with his idea. But it is Warren, so you never know if he will. Like it's difficult, you know. They're trying to make these big cards, but what are we going to be left with on the Saturday night shows? The quality of those, this could be absolutely abysmal.
We've just seen the quality of some of the Saturday night shows and stuff like that. I mean, any supposed decent fight, or even anything remotely resembling a 50-50 ends up in pay-per-view. You know,
well, I said it at the time. If I was Calvin Smith or Rocky Field, you know, I'd be sat there going, "Where's my pay-per-view?" You know, it was not a 50-50 fight, but it was an interesting, well-matched fight. You know, it was a British rivalry fight. No different really to Joshua White. They must have been sat there going, "Well, why isn't this pay-per-view?" And I think a lot of matchroom fighters will be doing the same thing. They'll all be wondering. They'll all be waiting either for a pay-per-view fight, or the money to be a support on a pay-per-view fight will be better than headlining their own show.
What if like Can book gets made? That's at the start of June, so you're talking 4 or 5 pay-per-views in the first half of the year. Yeah,
and then you're guaranteed Joshua will be in one in December. You're gonna have Fury. If Fury does beat Klitschko again, which a very, very high possibility he will, he'll fight again towards the end of the year. You know, this could be potentially a 7 or 8 pay-per-view year. They said that last year that Hearn wanted 3 or 4 pay-per-views, but he had nothing obviously lined up he could make, or he wasn't able to make certain fights. This year we've already got 4 before we've even hit June, and anything can happen between now and June.
I think Joshua's get 3, Fury's get 2, Brook will have 2, and then you've got the one standing, depending who's going to take that. So you're talking 8 over the year. I definitely think they're going to
take Quigg as well, so that's 9.
Sorry, there you go. There's your 8. That's
absolutely crazy. Well, here, just a quick example, Andy, of how the landscape and the quality has changed. That Don King show that I mentioned to you, I brought it up in front of me here, right? And this was on regular Sky. This wasn't on pay-per-view over here, as far as I can remember. And you've got Bernard Hopkins, William Joppy, Corey Spinks, Ricardo Mayorga, John Ruiz, Hasim Rahman, Travis Sims, Alejandro Garcia, Zab Judah, Jaime Rangel, and then Perez Machado, Alvarez Burgos, the lower weight fights, and Wayne Braithwaite against Luis Pineda. 8 fights, Don King pay-per-view. That was on regular Sky.
Yeah, but Steve, it's easy to do that when the promoter takes 90% of the purse.
Or using someone else's money.
Exactly.
Or just kills you.
I'm just living in the good old days here. I just can't help it.
Yeah, but at least Don King's a bastard. But at least he wanted to make good fights. He wanted the fucking good fights. He would even work with Arm. The two of them hated each other. At least he went and worked with them. You can't even get Hearn and Warren to have a decent conversation with each other. What he does abuse each other. The two of them act like me on Twitter. Just a pure fud.
Actually, hopefully Coogan gets that interview actually arranged. Good luck to him with that anyway. Nice. We've also ran our course. I think we've done pretty well getting 2 hours of talk out of one fight, I suppose, this week. But I'd like to thank the guys.
We're not previewing the monstrous Hayes.
Oh no, I mean, I dare say we can actually. We've already
There's no technical analysis.
What about Wilder?
What about
Yeah,
Wilder's?
why-
Wilder Spilka, okay, it's a
Shit fight next.
Someone talk to me about
Chalmers
Spilka.
Martin against Vyacheslav Glasgow.
No.
That'll be half decent, and so to be fair, that's a
See if
50-50.
Spilka stands a chance here. Actually, he needs to do what he did. Well, I think it's him anyway. But you know him who actually got arrested for like fucking hooliganism, like El Warsaw games, or am I thinking
Yeah.
of someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one. And like, I mean, I'm not big on Deontay Wilder at all, as you know. Deontay Wilder just pancakes this guy.
He was a hooligan for Vlasa Krakow, I think it was. So someone noticed him fighting some sort of street fight, and that he says, "Look, why don't you take up boxing?" And here you go, he's facing Deontay Wilder for WBC.
What happened when he got beat by Jennings? What happened?
Jennings. Let me have a quick think. Jennings. He got stopped, did he? No,
Yeah, 5 rounds.
no, 10th round.
Oh, sorry.
That was a good fight. I sat and watched that. I was under the Mikey Garcia undercard fight.
I remember the Mike Mollo fight, the first one. In fact, I think he had 2 fights. I think there was knockdowns the galore in that fight actually. Those 2 fights.
It's good fights then.
I mean, I hate David Tay, man. He's actually shafted like a couple of my mates, like for like constantly cancelling fights and all. But it's a shite fight, and everyone. But I'm actually, I mean, like Saturday night sitting watching Dave. I mean, it's fucking boxing, I suppose, in it. But I'm done with it. Fuck boxing. But I'm actually alright with David. I mean, it's a fucking big bag of shite fights, isn't it? Charles Martin, I hope Glasgow gets absolutely fucking wiped out because he's that slag Cafe Dover.
Is Charles Martin any good then?
No.
No,
Brilliant.
terrible.
Neither is Glasgow.
So-
Glasgow's fucking dogging. So that's the problem with it. I mean, I said that the splitting of the belts is creating more opportunities, but it's creating opportunities for some fucking roasters to have a pop. So
For Hay with the IBF, is Hay going to be targeting the IBF then or something?
yes,
Yeah, he's talking about it.
Yeah.
That's where he's going to go, isn't it?
Deontay Wilder will have
There's
that
Joshua
IPF
there.
belt at the end of the year.
Now Joshua will, because what's the rankings? I looked at them earlier in the week. After this fight, the
He'll be like
rankings-
5.
No.
He'll be next in line. He'll be like whatever, number 1, number 2, number 3, or whatever. However the IBF do their rankings. Basically, he'll be top dog. Carlos Takam will be right beneath him, and it'll be famous eliminator between them two.
And that's where Al Heyman comes in, because Charles Martin's with Al Heyman, and if he wins that belt, Deontay Wilder docks Povetkin and just calls for that unification.
Yep,
Long.
I can see that happening. Right, cheers guys. Like to thank Adam Smith, Alex Morris, Brian King, back from the dead. Good to hear from you, mate. Paul Webb and Steve Wellens. I've been your host, Andy Patterson. We'll be back next week with some more action. Actually, thank God. It's been pretty brutal, and we are lined up interview, so I'm waiting for confirmation for next Sunday. So all the best. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week. All the best.
Peace.
Fuck boxing. Team McGregor.
Team
Are we doing a Hay post-fight special next week?
Fuck off.
Team Demore.
Brian's alive.
Brian's alive.
Brian, did
Right.
you
You
know?
better end the call, mate. The
That